Niners lose. Niners lose. Niners lose. All right, welcome to the Krueger Show, brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. 49ers had a lot of opportunities. They lose Fred Warner for the year. They lose the game. There was an argument on the sideline between Jawan Jennings and Kyle Shanahan. We got a lot to talk about. A lot to talk about. Let's go. Off and running after Niner football on the Krueger Show, brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out, and they do run out. So get there early, get some brisket chili. Tell them that Krueger sent you. We're also brought to you by Sleeper. We'll talk more about Sleeper later on. But 49er football season is presented by Sleeper, the fastest growing fantasy platform in the world. Use the promo code Larry, and Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. We'll talk more about it in a bit. Wow, what a game. What a game. 49ers lose in Tampa. Welcome to the Krueger Show. Afterwards, I'll be ducking out at some point to run over to KMBR for a segment as well on the KMBR postgame show. And what can I say? It was an ugly game. I mean, this game was a dud from the very beginning. Really a bad start to the game, and it just kind of got worse from there. I mean, just, as far as the first half, Mac Jones was intercepted on the third play by Kindle Vildor. We talked about this, that Bowles was going to switch things up from pre-snap to post-snap. He didn't blitz today. He just sat back. He's known as a blitz guy. Instead, he didn't blitz. So they didn't blitz Jones, but he threw that interception on the third play of the game to Vildor. And then 2 plays later, Rachaad White goes in for a 2-yard touchdown run, and Tampa jumped out to the quick 7-0 lead. Niners would kick the Eddie Pinheiro 52-yard field goal to make it 7-3. And that's when Fred Warner got hurt on Tampa's third drive. In the first quarter, fractured ankle. It was gruesome. He's clearly done for the year. Crushing injury for the 49ers. They lose Bosa. Now they lose Warner. So Niners did respond, though. They had a 10-play, 84-yard drive. CMC went in from 1 yard out to give the Niners a 10-7 lead. But immediately Tampa responded with an 8-play, 68 drive of their own. And Sean Tucker scored from 8 yards out to make it 14-10. Eddie Pinheiro's 54-yard field goal made it 14-13. And it looked like the Niners were going to be in this thing, but then Tampa put together a 5-play, 72-yard drive. Mayfield found Cameron Johnson for a 34-yard touchdown to make it 20-13. Bernardo Green stuffed the 2-point conversion. Otherwise, it would have been 22-13. And that's where we were at halftime, 20-13. Niners, I think the story in the first half was that the 49ers couldn't run, 2.9 yards a carry. Tampa ran at will. Even before Fred Warner went out, they were gashing the Niners on the ground, 5-4 a carry, mix in the 1 turnover. And the first half wasn't all that surprising. I mean, the Niners hung around. It wasn't embarrassing, but it was 20-13 because one team could run it, the other team couldn't. And the team that could run it also, picked up an extra turnover. And that was the difference in the first half, huh, Kev?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a tough loss. I mean, the Niners, they're a gritty team. They've won a lot of games they probably shouldn't have won, to be completely honest. And their luck kind of just ran out in this one. I mean, there were some good things. I thought Mac Jones actually looked pretty competent till the end there. I mean, if you look at his numbers, he threw for over 300 yards against this Bucs defense that's somewhat decent. And just at the very end, it just kind of fell apart. If you look at some of the advanced statistics, Mac Jones against the blitz, Todd Bowles didn't blitz until the very end of the game, and he started blitzing much more. And on the blitz, Mac Jones was 5 of 10, 47 yards with a pick to seal it. So Mac Jones kind of fell apart there at the end. It's a tough win, but the talent disparity with Fred Warner going out, Ricky Pearsall, I mean, he's thrown to Kendrick Bourne and Marquez Valdez-Scantling. You can't really expect much to come out of that. And the Niners still can't run the ball. CMC, 3.2 yards per carry. They scored a rushing touchdown on a 1 yard rush from CMC, but still not able to move the ball effectively on the ground. And that's something that's going to have to change if you expect to win games against good teams like this.
We welcome in Dan Cochimilio and Frank Red, and we've invited JD as well. He may join at some point. Welcome to the Krueger Show after the 49ers lose to the Buccaneers, and we're just getting this thing rolling. It was just the 49ers were not sharp in this game. I mean, there were so many things that they just couldn't do. They just, and it's like Tampa didn't have Mike Evans, didn't have Chris Godwin. Emeka Egbuka did nothing, and still the 49ers couldn't stop Tampa Bay. I mean, Tez Johnson burned them. Cameron Johnson burned them. So it's like Baker Mayfield with his, C- cast. I mean, if you had told me that the Niners were going to get Tampa this year and that they were going to miss Mike Evans, they were going to miss Godwin, they were going to miss, Emeka Egbuka was going to have a nothing game, 2 catches for 24 yards. And I would have, and Rachaad White isn't going to even run for 4 yards a carry. He's going to run for 3.8 a carry. I would have said, yeah, the Niners are going to win that game. They're going to win that game for sure. But Cam Johnson, Sterling Shepard, Cade Otton, Tez Johnson. I mean, Baker Mayfield won with his B team. Another great performance from Kendrick Bourne, 5 catches for 142 yards on 9 targets. Great game for Tonjes, 6 catches for 58 yards on seven targets. CMC had over 100 all-purpose yards, 57 yards receiving, 54 yards rushing. But the Niners, once again, can't run. 3 yards a carry. They didn't even have to blitz Jones, and he still was under the gun. Good game for Tatum Bethune. He stepped up with 10 tackles off the bench. That was good to see. But the 49ers had 1 sack and 1 hit on the quarterback. And that's what they had last week, I believe. 1 hit on the quarterback. And guess what they gave up last week? 10 hits on the quarterback. And guess what they gave up today? 6 sacks and 10 hits on the quarterback. So this offensive line, I mean, Jesus, enough of the bullshit, enough of the grab ass, enough of the sacred cows and carrying everybody's goddamn water. 10 hits on the quarterback, 20 hits on the quarterback in back-to-back games. That ain't sustainable. 6 sacks on the quarterback, that's not sustainable. I mean, Mac Jones is a miracle worker. I mean, Jesus Christ. He was 27 of 39 for 347 on a day where he was hit 10 times and was sacked 6 times. He's running for his life. I mean, my God, whether it's Brock Purdy or Mac Jones, if there's one downside to the Shanahan regime since he's been here, they don't pass protect for shit. They don't pass protect. I don't know if they don't prioritize it. They don't care about it. But, I mean, you're going to have to pass protect. You're going to have to block. I mean, it's great to have an explosive offense that can score some points, but you got to protect your quarterback. I mean, we're going to see the 49ers' 3rd-string quarterback this year. I mean, they don't have a bye until week 14, and both their quarterbacks have just been tarred and feathered. So, I mean, Brendel had a terrible penalty late in the game. I don't know. I mean, I felt like Bowles didn't even feel like he needed. I mean, he got 10 hits on the quarterback and 6 sacks, and they didn't blitz him. Very frustrating. 49ers are going to have to do better on that offensive line. They're just going to have to do better. And no care. I mean, what's one thing when you split it up with McCaffrey gets most of the carries, but you don't give any carries to Brian Robinson? None. No carries the entire game. 17 for CMC, none for Brian Robinson. So very frustrating game for sure. And obviously losing Warner. I mean, every time the Niners take the field, it seems like they're more and more decimated. Also, I mean, the special teams, I mean, Piñeiro's good, but what the heck's Sky Moore doing? He has no idea what he's doing. He's catching the ball at the 1. He's catching the ball at the 5. It's like, let that ball bounce into the end zone. I mean, it seems like he's like never done it before. It's crazy watching him. So just a very frustrating performance all the way around. They weren't good enough in any phase. I mean, Eddie Piñeiro is freaking amazing. 4 for 4.
Best player on the team.
Yeah, 4 for 4, multiple 50-yard field goals. I mean, where would the Niners caught all kinds of breaks in this game, from overturned turnovers to, the punter getting rough to, they had every opportunity to hang in this game and they just couldn't. Every single time Tampa gave them a break, they just gave it right on back.
I'm just wondering when they're going to go to putting flags on the quarterback, calling Stout for roughing the passer. What the hell was that?
I know.
Seriously, I mean, come on. What is Stout supposed to do? Like do a jump stop in basketball and blow out his knee? Come on. He was coming full speed at him, and he hits him just after, like a split second after he released it.
In a way, it helped them, though, because then they went for 2 and didn't get it.
Right. But no, that wasn't the play. That wasn't the play. It was the touchdown or whatever pass it was, but they called that's right. It's right. They roughed the pass and they added it on to that's right. It did. But how bogus of a call was that? I mean, come on. I don't understand what a defense is supposed to do when you can't touch the quarterback at all. Like, he didn't hit him high. He didn't hit him in the helmet. He hit him in the shoulder.
It's never been more challenging to play defense. Let's just be honest about that. It's just very challenging to play defense. You can't hit these guys. They officiate the contact. Anything on the quarterback at all is a penalty. It's gotten absurd.
The problem with this game is just the problem with the team right now is just that there's no margin for error right now. It's like there's not enough skill in the roster for the team to make big mistakes, and to still expect to win the game. Dominic Pooney's false start on 4th and 1. Game's over. Call the game.
Yeah.
The game's over. You can't make that mistake. That is a mortal sin for an offensive lineman. 4th and 1. You're going to sneak it. Now it's 4th and 6. I mean, that's horrendous. Baker Mayfield escaping on 3rd and 16 for the first down, which led to the touchdown. You can't have it happen. Travis Gibson misses a tackle. Renardo Green misses a tackle. I mean, it is what Baker does. Like, I've seen Baker make that play. He made that play week 2 against the Texans on the final drive to win the game. It's what Baker Mayfield does. It's why Baker Mayfield is an MVP caliber quarterback this season. But it can't happen. You got to play more sound defense. You got to stay contained. Mistakes like that, you're not going to win this game with a team that has half of its roster injured and no offensive players really to speak of.
Yeah. Frank, what'd you think?
Yeah, you guys are breaking it down really well. I'm going to put some heat on Kyle Shanahan, though. As a football player myself, kind of being in that situation, dude, go back to your 3rd grade math class. We're talking simple math here. The score is 27-19, right? Play for the field goal. You needed 2 scores. They were already in field goal range, and he drops back. I mean, he runs a play for Mac, like a 7-yard drop. He gets sacked. And I'm like, in that situation, just play for the field goal. And I might be getting my plays mixed up, but because he might have thrown the pick after that. I don't remember. But I remember with 9:44, I'm watching the score, 27-19, with Piñeiro as your field goal kicker. You got to use him as a weapon. You got to strategically play football. They could have got within a touchdown, got 1 score. Instead, they went for the touchdown first, and that just kind of killed them. So there was another play, too, that I thought that Shanahan, as opposed to playing conservatively conventional football, he was a little greedy. And Mac Jones is not the type of player, regardless of how well he plays, he doesn't play as well when he has pressure in his face because he can't allude to the right or the left. And that frustrated me because Tampa Bay is a better team as they are constructed right now with the injuries. But the 49ers hung in there. Defensively, they were hanging in there. They had some bad plays, but they could have stole this game if they had played everything the right way. I thought Shanahan, again, in his play calling was a little more aggressive than he needed to be. I think he needed to be more conservative than he was because he put Mac in a bad situation, I believe.
4th and 6 from the 33, guys, is I think what Frank's talking about.
Yeah.
Jones drops back to pass, and he's intercepted by Jamel Dean. They're down. You could say it was one score because it was 8, but that's what Shanahan was thinking. But there was almost 6 minutes left in the game.
Exactly.
Do you kick the field goal there and play defense and see? I mean, other teams do this to the Niners, and they need 2 scores. They'll get the 1 score and then lean on their defense to get a stop. And then Shanahan usually takes 3 runs into the line and punts it back. It's like in this situation, there was 5:43 left on the clock after that interception. And, then they drive down and kick the Chase McLaughlin 45-yarder to go up, 30-19. You're up 11, 2 scores, 1:55 left, and that was ball game. But yeah, I mean, he could, unless he was thinking touchdown, 2-point conversion, only. But, I don't even know. I mean, it's like let's just say on 4th and 6 from the 33, instead of Jones passing intercepted by Jamel Dean, let's say Jones throws a touchdown there. Okay, so now you're 1 point down if you go for 1, or you're tied if you go for 2 and get it. Or you're down 2 if you go for 2 and don't get it. So that was the scenario. It was still 5:43 to play. So I mean it's dire, but it's not futile. I kind of agree with Frank on that. It's like he gets so aggressive, got to get it back. I guess he was only thinking touchdown, 2-point conversion, but there's almost 6 minutes left in the game, and you had your timeouts left. What did you guys think there? Did you want Shanahan to go for the field goal?
I don't mind it. I don't mind it.
Were you okay with them basically, I mean, just taking a shot? He floated a ball down the field and Jamel Dean picked it off, and it wasn't that difficult of a play, really.
I think he was realizing his defense was pretty wiped out, and if they went for the field goal, would they even get the ball back? Possibly. Yeah. I think you have to look at it in a situation where, less than 6 minutes to go. Is this your best chance to get that score, that touchdown, and tie the game? Because, again, you turn it over, you kick the field goal. Do you even get the ball back? Does Tampa Bay replace it with the field goal? Now you've got a minute left or 2 left in the game, and you're trying to run down and get a touchdown with no timeouts left and get a 2-point conversion then. Because I don't think they were going to stop. The Niners weren't stopping Tampa, it seemed like. Also on that 4th and 6 play, I watched it a few times over. Valdez-Scantling was wide open over the middle for the first down. He never looked over the middle. I don't know if it was because the pocket collapsed and he didn't have enough time. It didn't show it very clearly when I watched it back, but I think he had to hurry. He looked. I think it was Jennings ran a short out at the first down marker, and then whoever he was throwing to deep there that got picked off. But Valdez-Scantling ran a quick slant right over the middle, wide open. No one even picked him up.
Yeah, I mean, Jones got fooled there on the coverage. I don't hate the call. Like, I think it's a 1-score game. It's probably your best chance. The Niners were kind of playing that way the whole game, where they were kind of playing from behind. I don't mind the aggressive call, but the momentum definitely wasn't going their way because they just had a 3rd and 1 stuffed from Mac Jones, and then you're about to run it back, then the penalty. Now you're 4th and 6. So it's like the offense is a little bit stalled out at that point. But still, I mean, it's an 8-point game. I don't hate that call.
Here's a challenge, though. Robert Saleh is the type of coach that, I mean, he's so diverse. He's like an offensive coordinator from a defensive perspective. When you limit his hand, when the score is what it is at that point, he can't be as creative. And at the same time, he can't rally his troops. He can't go to his guys and say, listen, within 1 score, we need 1 stop. I mean, I think there's a part of that was lost on that particular play. because I think they're looking at Pinheiro at this point as a weapon and not just a field goal kicker. You got to use him. And I didn't like that play. I mean, you guys make sensible points about the direction and how they were going to attack that. But being in that situation, I just think that Tampa Bay's defense is ferocious. I mean, Mac is not going to have that same problem with Purdy or whomever plays against Atlanta. That's one of the top 5 to 7 defenses in football in terms of rushing the quarterback. It was going to be tough.
It was. And even though without Kalijah Kancey and without some of their key guys, I mean, it's just, Tampa just had more. They had more. I mean, to me, the game was that 3rd and 14 run by Mayfield. I mean, it's 3rd and 14. They're on their 40. It's a 1-point game right after and Pinheiro kicks the field goal to make it 20-19. And you're sitting there going, this is it right here. We're getting off the field. There's plenty of time. We're going to get the ball. We've stopped Baker. Because they had the holding on Wirfs on 2nd down to put them behind the chains. And you're sitting there going, okay, 2nd and 20. He goes to Otten for 6. And then all of a sudden it's 3rd and 14 from their own 40. And if the Niners get off the field there, I think they got a great shot to win the game. Instead, he scrambles for 15 yards, breaking multiple tackles along the way. 2 plays later, Mayfield finds Tez Johnson for a touchdown, and it's ball game basically. I mean, it's 27-19, and they're up by 8, and I thought that was a backbreaker. The 3rd and 14 scramble by Mayfield was a freaking backbreaker. Especially they did, you don't have Evans, you don't have Godwin. Emeka Egbuka with the hamstring is now out of the game. They don't have any of their top receivers, and they're dropping back to pass on 3rd and long. And you're thinking, we got this covered. We're going to force a punt. We're getting the ball back. We're going to take over a field. We can run the clock. We can go field goal. We can win, 22-20. We can, what I mean? Instead, Mayfield runs for the 1st down, breaks the Niners back. And even though they stuffed Tucker on the next play, 2nd and 11 from the 46, Mayfield finds Tez, and Tez made a wonderful catch. And there you go. I mean, I thought that was really it right there. I mean, there was, where was Shanahan and Jennings yelling at each other? Was it after Jennings had the offensive PI call on the drive before where he smoked Jacob Parrish? Is that what they were yelling and screaming about? Because I never really actually saw that. I heard, my son said that Cam Inman was tweeting about Jennings and Shanahan, but I actually never saw it. And of course, the TV side, everything's like, I don't know if it's like, state television or something. It's like, we will not show anything that reflects poorly on anybody. It's like, Jesus, NFL and their partners are like Gestapo. Can we just see the freaking subplots? I mean, that Shanahan yelling at his star receiver and star receiver having to be separated from the head coach by the head coach's security detail is kind of part of the narrative. And for CBS, I feel like CBS is broadcasting from Mars. I can't stand Nance. Nance is retire already, Nance. My God, you suck. Because Nance is sitting there rooting openly. The 49ers have made, Pinheiro's made 14 out of 14. He's never missed. I mean, he's like jinxing the Niners in this super ridiculous way. Nance, and I can't stand Romo. He's super full of himself. I used to like Nance, but he's super done. He needs to retire. And anytime it's CBS, it's like you feel like they're not really covering the game. It's like, guys, you've got a head coach yelling at his receiver and he's yelling back and you guys don't even mention it. No mention. You got a spotter. You probably got a stats guy. You got all kinds of camera people. You probably got a crew of like 150 freaking CBS people that you put on some bird to fly to Tampa. Not one person could tell you, by the way, let's see that. It was like it didn't happen on the TV side. I mean, I saw none of it. I mean, I'm asking you guys, but you guys saw the same TV copy I saw.
I mean, they might have just missed it. It seemed like only Cam Inman picked it up. I didn't see a bunch of people talking about it on Twitter. I actually kind of like Nance, so I can't agree.
I used to like Nance, but he's so obviously done. It's like, Jesus, Jim, can you be more cheeseball? Can you jinx the Niners more? Can you? I mean, his some of his stuff is just so ridiculous. And then he gets in these little. It's like they had decided what the narrative was going to be on this game in the first half. It was weird. It was like, oh yeah, I don't know. It's just Nance kind of bugs me. He's too corny for me at this point.
I mean, does it matter? It's just the announcer.
No, I'm just saying they totally blew the fact that there was a major subplot of a player arguing with the head coach, and they don't catch it on the broadcast. They don't give us anything on that. It was like it didn't happen.
After the game, Juwan Jennings said that he played with 5 broken ribs, a high ankle sprain, and a low ankle sprain per Noah Furtado. So that's why we didn't see that much of Juwan. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, he's gutting it out and getting out there. I admire that, but I would have loved to have known what was his beef with Shanahan. What was Shanahan's beef with him? I thought maybe it was on the big play to Christian that got negated by the Juwan Jennings penalty. Maybe Shanahan got in his face about that because he did crush Parrish, and it was kind of an obvious penalty.
I think that was it. I don't know. I didn't see the play just like you didn't, but I think because that was a dry killer. That was big. So
it really was big.
I think, yeah, that was a big play. It really was. So.
This was the news from Rappaport after the game. Confirmed. All-Pro Fred Warner suffered a dislocated and broken ankle in today's game per coach Kyle Shanahan. A significant, likely season-ending injury with surgery coming.
Oh yeah, I mean, come on.
You're done. Yeah.
We don't need that, man. I mean, we don't need that. We don't need to see that. I mean, anybody who saw that game, when you see a guy's ankle just floating and flapping in the wind, he's done for the year.
I broke my ankle, so I already knew. It was a done deal. So
yeah, I mean, anybody who saw that was like, oh, he's done.
But it is. I mean, barring the MRI, maybe there's some ligament damage, but having a broken ankle is better than a torn Achilles or I thought at first it was an ACL because he's grabbing his knee. So that's, I guess, somewhat positive news if it's season ending.
The positive news is that when you break your ankle, calcium deposits runs right there to kind of protect it. And I think that's a good thing because it kind of stabilizes it somewhat. Watching him on the cart, he didn't look like he was in a whole lot of distress. It was like the pain had happened and he was already kind of moving on. I was really surprised by that, but he's a tough dude, man. So
yeah,
he'll come back. He'll come back.
He's missed one game in his entire career. One game. He plays middle linebacker. That's
Well, the people want to see more of Tatum Bethune and Nick Martin. You're going to get your wish. You're going to see more of those guys. Nick Martin will now be up, and Tatum Bethune will now probably be starting, and it will be an opportunity. I mean, it's a bad break for the Niners. It's obviously a bad break for Fred. It's a good break for the guys behind him. They'll get an opportunity, next man up kind of a situation. The Niners do have some good linebackers. Nobody that's as good as the best linebacker in the game. In Fred Warner. And that's the crushing part. It's not that the Niners are losing guys. They're losing all their best guys.
Right.
It's like, it would be like, oh, the Warriors lost Steph and Draymond and, Jimmy Butler. Okay. It's okay if you have 3 injuries, as long as it's not your 3 best players. When it's your future Hall of Famers and your leaders, your captains, your best players, your Pro Bowlers, and this probably will impact, the 49ers, how they view themselves at the trade deadline. Why would you trade anything of significance now, knowing that your 2 best defenders are done for the year? I'll say this. I think if there was one thing that was kind of frustrating in this game, beyond obviously losing Fred, is that the Niners for the first game all year looked like they couldn't stop the run. Even when Fred was in there. I mean, the first half, Tampa averaged 5.4 a carry, and the Niners never really stopped them, where the 49ers in the first half averaged 2.9 a carry, and they just couldn't really get the run game going. So that was the one thing, I was like, man, I know Bosa's good against the run. I know they've lost some pieces. I know they're not 100% up front. You got some guys playing with, clubs on their hands because of broken thumbs and hands and that kind of thing with Kalia Davis and CJ West. But I mean, they just didn't look good against the run. They really didn't. I mean, Tampa could run pretty much as well, as much as they wanted, as well as they wanted. That was the most discouraging thing. And all the other games this year, they've done a really nice job at shutting down the opposition's run game for the most part. Not in this game. This game, it was like the first half, it just looked like, they could kind of run at will. So that was kind of frustrating. The Niners at halftime, guys, had a 210 to 184 total yards advantage, and they had a 3-minute advantage on the time of possession. So at halftime, the 49ers are down 20-16. They're getting the ball to begin the third quarter. They've got more total yards, and they were leading the time of possession by 3 minutes. And I was kind of feeling pretty good about it. I was like, well, I know they lost Fred, and that's a crusher. But, Jones, 13 of 19 in the first half. So I don't know. Bourne had 2 catches for almost 100 yards in the first half. I kind of thought at halftime, you know what? They got a real shot here. And, the Niners even got the ball to begin that third quarter. But, just too many mistakes in the second half. Too many, you just can't overcome all the things that they had to overcome in this thing. It was just, and then, but the other thing about Nance that pissed me off is he's like, oh, the 49ers have not allowed a point in the first quarter. It was like literally 30 seconds later, Rachaad White runs in from 2 yards out, and it's like, I guess they have, I just, shut up, Jim. He's just such a cheese ball at this point. The guys get old and they get cheesy. And then Romo, I don't know about, everybody was celebrating Romo as the greatest broadcaster ever because he was doing play ahead of play. He was like making predictions. People were like so amazed that a quarterback, that anybody could give you some insight into the play that could be coming as opposed to the play that just happened. But that's short-lived, and it's just, I don't know. To me, those guys annoy the hell out of me. I really don't like the Nance Romo team.
How are you guys feeling about? I mean, obviously, it's kind of a no-brainer. Obviously, no one feels good about Fred Warner not being on the roster or being on the field, but I felt like one of the plays that was pretty apparent that Fred Warner was no longer on the field was that 45-yard touchdown pass to Johnson, where he motioned across the field.
The Tez?
Or not to Tez, sorry. I'm thinking of
Cameron Johnson?
Cameron Johnson, yes, yeah. Where he motioned across the field. No one picks him up, and he's just wide open for a deep touchdown. Maybe it wasn't 45 yards. I think it was more like 36 yards. Mike Johnson's confused. You guys remember that play?
Yeah, it was football IQ, and that's why Fred Warner is so valuable because he's watching things happen in real time, and he's shifting guys, making sure the guys are covered. And he's a big loss. He's a great player, but he's also a coach on the field. And we hope that the Tatums of the world and the other linebacker hasn't played. Was it Nickerson? What's his name, Larry?
Nick Martin.
Yeah, Martin. We hope that these guys are in their playbooks because that play should have never happened. They checked the motion to see where the guy was going. Baker Mayfield instantaneously knew he was going to be wide open. Nobody covered him. And it was an easy touchdown. Good teams don't give up plays like that. That should never happen.
Frustrating loss. Really a frustrating loss. And I thought there was a very good chance that Jones would struggle against the blitz because he really has struggled this year against the blitz, but then Bowles switched it up on him and didn't really blitz that much. And yet they still bothered the 49er line. They still wind up getting pressure. They still wind up getting a bunch of hits on the quarterback. So, I don't know. It's a tough one. I mean, the Niners caught every break in this thing. I mean, Pinheiro makes long field goals and, it's just, Egbuka leaves with a hamstring injury. The other receivers aren't there. Their number one running back's not there. Their number one defensive lineman wasn't there. And it's like, still, I mean, the Niners were banged up too, but that was bad. The Niners caught how about the break they caught on the Levante David strip sack on 3rd and 11, first play of the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Tampa recovers the fumble, and we're all thinking, Niners are screwed there. And they come back and they're like, oh wait, under further review, Jones' shin was down, and so the Niners punted. So they were kept alive there. And then Tampa drives down the field, and all of a sudden you're like, Chase McLaughlin's going to put this one out of reach, and he misses a 49-yard field goal wide right. And then you think, the Niners are gonna keep this drive alive. They got 4th and 1. Boom, Dom Pooney false start. Now it's 4th and long, and then Mac Jones with the interception to Jamel Dean, and there you go. By the way, this is now officially the longest interception drought in 49ers history. How about that?
I think as they said, there was a graphic that said NFL history. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's NFL. I thought it was NFL history. It might be.
It said NFL.
So 13. I find that hard to believe. 13 games is the longest drought that any team's had going without an interception. That seems almost impossible. It seems like it would have to be longer than that.
Seems like it would be, yeah. But they did put the graphic up NFL history. They didn't say 49er history.
Wow, maybe. But yeah, I mean, it's, where do the Niners go from here? I mean, the thing about it is the Niners look like they really could use a bye. They don't have the bye until week 14.
Yeah.
There's no bye. They're not getting a bye. And I did find it interesting that you had Kawakami asking Shanahan last week, hey, is this like 2019? And it's like, dude, Nick Bosa's out for the year. In 2019, you had Bosa, D. Ford, DeForest Buckner, and Eric Armstead on your defensive line. Now, you had 2 guys who commanded doubles and all kinds of beasts up front. Now you have older Bosa, and he's out for the year, and you're still like, are you going to trade everything for one?
One of the ironic thing that happened during the game is that the guy that everyone's been talking about, Trey Hendrickson, left his game with an injury and was out for the game with a back injury. So now even potential 49ers are getting injured.
Yeah.
I think you got to win next week against what? They got Atlanta next week?
Yes.
So if you can get to 5-2 and then somehow win week 8 and go 6-2, when's the trade deadline? Right before the 10th week?
November 4th.
So just a couple weeks, a little over 2 weeks. So if you can win the next 2, go 6-2, then maybe you look to see if you can shore some things up. But if you don't win, if you split or, worse, go 0-2 in these games, I think you have to start selling off and trying to get some draft picks to shore up that offensive line. The offensive line, they're going nowhere with the middle of that interior offensive line. I mean, it's brutal. It's brutal.
I think you need to go for the playoffs. Personally, and I think when you look at this team, the one area where they can actually get better is on the offensive end. I mean, defensively, they're in a tough situation now. You lose Bosa, you lose Warner, those are the 2 best players. But offensively, I see some run room. I think Pearsall coming back, Kittle coming back. No, they can't run the ball, but their running backs can catch. So I think they need to look at how they call the game and just fly around on defense. But I think they should try to go and try to make the playoffs and attack the offensive line that got abused today in the offseason. I don't think they should sell anything. I think they should try to win football games.
Well, this is the year
teams don't sell, though. Danny's thinking baseball. I mean, this is not the way it goes in the NFL. Teams, for the most part, don't sell. I mean, there may be a team that sold a player, but they're not going to sell
your whole team. I don't mean sell a ton, but trade Jennings. You don't need Jennings. It looks like with Bourne coming, and then you got Ayuk coming back and Pearsall coming back. What is Jennings' service? What is he doing? He gives you occasional 3rd and Juwan. Okay, Bourne can do that.
I mean, the way Bourne's playing right now, I mean, it wouldn't. If I was an NFL team, I mean, who do you want? You want Jennings? He's got a hip. He's got like 4 different injuries, and he's got a huge ego, and he's a free agent at the end of the year, and he wants to get paid, as opposed to Bourne, who's, kind of been given up for dead, and he's now had 2 games in a row where he's had 142 yards. This guy's got 284 yards receiving in the last 2 games, and he himself is a veteran. It's like, they're probably not going to sell any of these guys, but somebody suggested that maybe with Mustafa coming back, that they would trade, Jason Pinnock. But I just don't see it. I don't think any of these guys are going to fetch anything. 2, that's just not the way they go. It's not the way it's done. The Niners are 4-2. They're going to try to make the playoffs. They should try to make the playoffs.
Well, this is the year that there's no dominant team in the NFL. It's wide open.
Yeah,
it really is. It's
a war of attrition. It's one of these years somebody's going to win with like a whole slew of backups because they were just the last man standing. Last year we saw this kind of coronation of the Eagles with all their talent and everything in the Super Bowl, and they just were way too much for Kansas City. But, the way the injuries are coming down in the NFL and the way these teams are getting depleted across the board, I almost feel like one of these Super Bowls, you're going to see backup quarterbacks or backup players or, a lesser quality of play. And it's going to be because of how many guys on the Super Bowl participants, of the 2 Super Bowl participants, how many key guys are out. You heard Nance or Romo said, hey, I think we're going to see this matchup again. Okay, but think about it. There's both teams combined had like over 20 starting players of note out. So, if they were to play in the playoffs, that wouldn't be until January. I can only imagine how many guys will be out by then. Yeah. It seems crazy, but, I do think the Niners are going to be active, but in the trade market, I just don't really believe. It's kind of like they themselves don't believe. There's a little bit of that. Shanahan's comments, Lynch is like, hey, we need to kind of earn the right to make a trade. Have the Niners at 4-2 earn the right to make a trade, or is it all dependent on what they do in the next 2 or 3 games? How do you guys see that?
They're not selling. They're
not selling, yeah, but
they're not
as far as buying.
They're not going to make the trade. They're not going to make a, this is the year trade. I think that Kyle is even
all in first round pick.
You don't even have to read between the lines. If you just literally listen to what Kyle says, you can get the vibe that it's like, like he said it to Tim Kawakami. Like he thought that 2019 team was a receiver away. They had a Super Bowl caliber defense. They've admitted this season that they're playing a lot of rookies. John Lynch said they're going to take their lumps, and that got blown out of proportion. But it's true. It's a young team. They're the salary cap. They're resetting. It's if they can make the playoffs and catch lightning in a bottle, that's great. And I think that's what every team plays for. You play for that chance. But they're not, one of the top 3 most likely teams to win the Super Bowl this year. That's just a fact, especially with the injuries with Fred Warner, Nick Bosa. I think it's a different story if those guys are healthy. They're not. But you can still win games and get better, and I think that's kind of where they're at.
I like that. Yep. I agree with that philosophy, actually. As a football fan, as a Niner supporter, I love to watch the involvement of the young players. And I put a lot of it on the coaches. I see these young guys flying around and making some plays. The offensive line, Larry, you watch it like you're watching 60 Minutes, man. So I listened to you about that. The offensive line play today was abysmal. They got bullied. And that is the area that they need to attack. The defensive line, they have some great, promising young defensive players. If you just look at their draft, right now, I don't know what the ranking is, but I would think they were probably the top 6, 7 in NFL in terms of acquiring talent and getting hits on players. So I like what they're doing. I want to see them continue to deal with adversity and play up to the maximum ability. And a lot of that stems from the coaching on the offensive end and from a defensive perspective.
Well, here's the truth, because we sit here every week, and the discourse on the offensive line, like it's become some people will call it like, oh, you don't really know what you're watching if you're hating on the 49ers offensive line because they have this statistic and that statistic. At the end of the day, there's two facts here. The Niners are not running the ball efficiently. So either Christian McCaffrey is all of a sudden not a good running back, or the offensive line is not getting the push that they need. And I think you can make the argument that Christian McCaffrey is getting older, but I still think he's a good running back because we can see it on the receptions. He has the juice in his legs. He's still a good player. So you can only point the finger in so many directions. I think Shanahan saying, "Oh, you were facing too high, safety defenses." Like that's not it. Like I'm sorry, but that can't be the only reason why the Niners scored their first rushing touchdown of the season this year, and Christian McCaffrey, whose his entire career has rushed for over 4 yards per carry, is averaging low 3.
He's career 4.6, and he's averaging 3.1. He's career 4.6. And here's the other thing. If there was another back that the Niners were handing it to that was having success, then maybe it would be Christian. Nobody's having any success.
Right.
Nobody's having any success. On the 49ers' third drive, this is after Mikael Williams got that sack on 3rd and 9, his first sack as a Niner. And they forced the punt. Okay, so this is early in the game, late first quarter. Niners on their third possession. They're 1st and 10 from the 14. They run CMC. He gets no gain, but he just gets hit right at the line of scrimmage, and he had to twist and turn just to get back to the line of scrimmage. It took everything in his power just to make it not a loss. I mean, it was a no gain, but it could have been a loss. Then they run him again on 2nd down. He gets 4 yards. Then on 3rd and 6, from the 18, Jones throws it to him on an in route, and he makes the catch, and he moves the chains. But I mean, if you look at they tried to get CMC going, and they just couldn't get him going. And then the other thing was on that same series, they get to 3rd and 8 from their own 28, and Jones gets sacked. Vita Vea beats Pooney. And Jones fumbled. Now the Niners recovered and they punted on the next play. But what did Jones got fumbled 3 times today and lost 1? Is that what it was?
He fumbled twice.
Or was it twice?
He fumbled twice and lost 1, I believe.
Yeah. So I mean, it's frustrating. It's like, football is somewhat complicated, but it's also pretty basic. And it's like, there's going to be, it can't be nobody's fault, right? It's like you got CMC, and then you have the offensive line, and you're not running well. So you can say it's CMC, but if it's not CMC, then it's probably Brendel and Colby and Pooney. I'll tell you one thing. The Niners don't think this way, so I don't think there's any chance in hell that they would do this. But I was looking at Adam Schefter's list last night. Adam Schefter wrote, or was it Ian Rappaport maybe? Ian Rappaport and Garofolo put together a list of players who potentially are going to be on the block. And they put it out last night over on social media. And I was looking at the list of the names. And, there's a bunch of names on that list. The one name on that list that I think the Niners absolutely should try to get is not a pass rusher. It's not a receiver. It's Kevin Zeitler, the former, the longtime quality guard who's playing for Tennessee now. He's a really good guard. And the 49ers can't run the ball. And they don't want to change out their center. And they don't want to change out their running back. And so what are you going to do? I mean, you're going to keep beating your head against the wall? Telling everybody that McCaffrey hasn't lost a step, telling everybody that Jake Brendel's fucking great, despite the fact that your eyes tell you differently. I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to keep sitting there spinning those 2 yarns all year, or are you going to do something about it? And the only thing you really can do about it, because there aren't a lot of offensive linemen out there, but Kevin Zeitler from Tennessee is a hell of a lineman, and he's available. And he's a big-time guard. He was in Detroit. I think he was in Baltimore before that. He's been around the block. He played for Wisconsin way back. He's old. He's an old guard. But you know what? You have Connor Colby and Brendel and Pooney up front, and you can't run the ball at all. So you're going to sit there and just keep letting CMC get destroyed? Are you just gonna keep throwing Connor Colby and Brendel and Pooney out there and saying, well, that's the best we got, and shrug your shoulders as your running back just gets killed? Go get a big, tough, brawling, run blocking interior offensive lineman, and let's see if it's any better. He's an older guy. He makes some money. But I mean, if you're really going to try to get better, yeah, I wouldn't mind an Arden Key. I wouldn't mind some addition, but if Tennessee wants to move Kevin Zeitler, that big powerhouse veteran guard where you can say, hey, Connor Colby, sit down. You're going to be good in a couple years. You're going to be fine, but go sit and watch, because you're giving up way too many pressures. You're getting blown up in the run game. I think I'd go for Zeitler. I know Zeitler is not the answer necessarily to Nick Bosa's out, Fred Warner's out. How can the defense get better? But I mean, if you're going to be at all decent with Mac Jones, you got to run the ball. You can't drop Mac Jones back to pass 40 times. He's going to get his ass kicked, and he's not going to make it anywhere close to the bye week. And you're going to be looking at Adrian Martinez, and maybe somebody after that, because there's a lot of football between now and then. I know you can't get a difference maker, young offensive lineman that can be a foundation piece, but Zeitler's a tough, old school brawling guard. And he's totally gettable because he's on a losing team that's going nowhere with a rookie quarterback that badly wants to, get some draft picks and draft capital for 26. I wouldn't only get Zeitler, but man, I would try to get a guy like Zeitler.
And it's like if your philosophy is not to draft offensive linemen, then you gotta use the other avenues, right? You gotta make the trade.
Right?
It's like,
where are you getting these guys?
If you were, they're not getting born onto your roster. I mean, they don't appear out of thin air. You can't grow them on trees. You gotta make them appear somehow.
You could make them appear, but they never draft them. They don't believe
the Giants with hitters.
The thing about the run, the lack of the run is that it's putting way too much pressure on Mac Jones. And I think Mac Jones, to walk out of this game and be like, you know what, Mac Jones, he's not good enough. That's not the story here. I think you should walk away from this game thinking, Mac Jones put the Niners in a position for most of the game to move the ball down the field and score points. They scored points on a lot of their drives. They were field goals, but their personnel is just not it offensively. Their offensive line isn't winning. They have the running back, but they can't run. So then Mac Jones has to drop back and pass, and then he's thrown to a bunch of probably only bench players. I mean, on any good team, all these receivers are on the bench. I mean, I don't know if that's a hot take, but that's just the reality of the situation. So you're expecting a lot out of Mac Jones, and it all boils down to the run game. If you're not running the game, if you're not running the ball well, it's just never going to work.
Got to run the ball.
I get the Kyle Shanahan, the ingenuity, the cuteness of all of the offense, but football has been won and played in the trenches since the beginning of football. I don't understand why, they get it on the defensive line. They built the team. They said, we're going to build a team around defensive line, and that's how we're going to build it from the ground up when they took over in 2017. And that's where they put all their energy. But nothing on the offensive line. The trade for Trent Williams was awesome, and that has worked out great. But where's the rest of the offensive line? I don't get it. You watch Philadelphia, you watch Kansas City after they had a poor offensive line, and they rebuilt their offensive line. They come back and they win the Super Bowl. It's like you need, what's the old Wendy's commercial? Where's the beef? Connor Colby looks like a stinking split end out there compared to the rest of the linemen. The guy's he has no beef on him. Pooney's not that big, but they're not. I mean, get some beef in that interior. Remember the old Dallas Cowboys, Nate Newton, and who was the other guy they had? Larry Brown, and all these big 350-pound
Eric
men.
Williams, John Giesick. Yeah, they had a bunch of guys. Tuanay, Mark Tuanay.
Yeah, come on. Yeah. I mean, these 49er offensive linemen, they look like they're offensive linemen from the 1960s and 70s compared to the rest of the league. what's happening today. It's unreal.
We welcome in Rye. Rye, good to see you. What'd you think? I mean, we've been bitching and complaining. At least I have most of the time. This game frustrated me on a lot of fronts. Give us your takeaway. What'd you think?
Yeah, sorry about being a little bit late. I just had to hop in here and get some takes off. Unfortunately working on the weekend, but I'm coming back in my car right now. Just I expected the Bucs to win. They're a really good team. Baker is clearly at this point a top 3 quarterback in the league. And like, I mean, it's weird. I was a little bit proud of the boys. I was absolutely just spinning that thing, dropping in tight windows, pushing the ball down the field, coming off injury, all this stuff. And it was getting me pretty fired up. But there's just some things I'm just seeing for this Niners team. Obviously, the Fred Warner thing is terrible, but it's like, just from a macro perspective, like, I'm done with this Gus Bradley defense. I'm just done with it. This rock solid defense. Like, you need to have all pros on the defensive line, first round picks everywhere, plus 2 absolute studs at linebacker with crazy speed in order for the system to even work. And it's like, everyone knows what's coming. There's nothing creative. It's not fooling anybody. They had an interception in like a season and a half. This team just doesn't make plays on defense. The only guy that made any plays was Fred Warner, and that's just because he's gotten so goddamn good at that punching the ball out thing. This defense does not make plays. They don't get the ball on the ground. They don't recover it. They don't get any interceptions. And the special teams doesn't make plays. I watch all the games across the National Football League. There's blocked kicks. I'm not even talking about kick return touchdowns. I'm talking about, getting it across midfield. Like, that's a hell of a play. They don't do anything in the kicking game. Thank God Eddie Pinheiro is somehow added like another 20 yards to his legs, and he just seems like he's the best kicker in the league all of a sudden outside of Aubrey. But it's like, fundamentally, and then you look, it's like, so what is this team this year? It's like, it's going to kind of, as the offensive guys come back, it's like, it's going to be kind of a drop back pass team. They can't really run the ball. They're going to be in all these shootouts because their defense sucks. And their team isn't built for that. Their offensive line is built to be able to run the ball and press on you. And then there's some play action. And, like, you can kind of get away with it because they're running the ball so well and they have leads. They're going to be behind in all these games. And it's like, you paid so much money for Brock Purdy. And this kind of goes back to the draft. I know it's like, whatever. I like Mikael Williams. He's fine. But it's like, you had when are the Niners going to have another opportunity to draft that high and pick an offensive lineman? Like, Trent Williams is goddamn 40 years old. All these guys are getting so old. It's like, you could have had, I said at the time, I would have rather had Josh Simmons. The guy had injury problems. I would have rather had Simmons there. Or at least, Mikael Williams isn't doing anything for us. I don't know anything about this Nick Martin guy. Larry, enlighten us on this, because he's a third-round pick.
I really like him. He's fast. He's athletic. He's he's super strong and super fast. He was very productive. He's going to overrun some plays. He gets a little hyperactive. He needs some schooling. He would be playing now, except they have committed special teams jobs to Curtis Robinson and Luke Gifford. And so, because those guys play special teams better and they have more of a defined role in special teams, they're up on game day and he's been inactive. But don't confuse that for they don't like him. They love him. They just don't have, they can only have so many guys up on game days. So now he'll be up. He'll get a chance to play. He's going to make some great plays and he's going to make some mistakes. But you're right about the 49er offensive line. It's like, it's no different than the Giants in there. We got to have more pitching. You can never have enough pitching. Well, if you have that philosophy, then you're never going to ever get any hitters. And if you have a philosophy that you can never have enough defensive linemen, you're just going to keep drafting defensive linemen. I mean, they drafted Solomon Thomas. He was a bust, right? So because they drafted him and he was a bust, they had to keep going, right? So then they got Nick Bosa, that helped, but then they lost DeForest Buckner. They traded him, so they had to go for a defensive lineman. So they go Javon Kinlaw, but Kinlaw was a bust. So then they've got to go back and can hit that well again. So they go back to Drake Jackson, and then Drake Jackson was a bust, and it's like, then they're back doing more defensive line drafting. And you're right. They probably should have invested their top 15 pick in an offensive tackle and plugged him in opposite Trent Williams. But, they like McKivitz. They felt like their D-line needed help. So they went D-line over O-line again. And now they're at a point where they can't even trade for Trey Hendrickson because that first round pick next year cannot be traded. It has to be kept, and it has to be devoted to an offensive tackle. So they've lost a lot of their latitude, lost a lot of their flexibility by the mistakes that they've made in the draft. And if you have a philosophy that you can never have enough D linemen, and then you keep drafting D linemen and you keep drafting the wrong D linemen, well, guess what? I mean, you're always going to be like, well, we need more. We need more. Yeah, you need more because Solomon Thomas was a bust and Kinlaw was a bust, and all the, and outside of Bosa, your defensive line draft picks have looked really, really bad. Robert Beal was a bust. You just cut him yesterday. Another draft pick invested in a defensive lineman that can't do shit. So, I mean, eventually, everybody loves John Lynch. Everybody loves John Lynch. He's a very popular guy. The players love him. Shanahan loves him. The media loves him. Everybody loves him. Except he's probably, just a mediocre GM in the grand scheme of things when it comes to the drafting of this team. And there's just so many. You can't miss 12 times in the first 3 rounds of the draft like they have.
Joe Williams.
You can't miss 12 times in the first 3 rounds. I mean, and
Jake Moody.
That's not hyperbole either, by the way. I mean, this is who they've missed on in the first 3 rounds so far since they've run the show. Solomon Thomas, Reuben Foster, Ahkello Witherspoon, C.J. Beathard, Mike McGlinchey, Dante Pettis, Tarvarius Moore. That's 7 right there in their first 2 drafts.
Wasn't Joe Williams a 3rd round pick, or was
Jalen Hurd? That's 8. Javon Kinlaw. That's 9. Trey Lance. That's 10. Trey Sermon. That's 11. Ambry Thomas. That's 12. Drake Jackson. That's 13. Ty Davis Price. That's 14. Danny Gray. That's 15. Jake Moody. That's 16. Cam Latu. That's 17. I like Jair Brown, but some people would say that's a bust.
I wouldn't rule him out yet.
I wouldn't rule him out either.
When was Joe Williams
that's
drafted?
17. That's 17 picks in rounds 1, 2, and 3 that you've blown just in this regime. How much better would the 49ers be if half those guys were players?
Yeah. I mean, there is going to be there's a certain miss rate that you have to accept. I saw someone explain it as like hitting a 3. It's more like hitting a 3. Like 20% is you shouldn't shoot 3s. 40% is you're a Hall of Famer.
That's why you miss. That's if you miss 5 times. You can't miss 17 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to bring it back to the run game for a sec. Sorry, you're right. You can go.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Real quick. On the draft, I think I agree with what you're saying, Kev. To a certain extent, it's luck. But where they make it way more difficult, where they make it from shooting a 3 to a hezzy crossover step back, is they decide the way they draft, they don't ever go plus best player available. Ever. They never do it. They decide, we're taking a quarterback this year. We're going to trade up, and then we're going to just figure out which is the one we want. That's the Trey Lance. This year, they decided we're going to take a defensive lineman. We're going to take an edge. They took Michael Williams. Same thing with Pearsall. It's like I just don't understand. It's like, you know what? Maybe you're not looking for a corner. Maybe, but Cooper DeJean is at last year in the draft. Take Cooper DeJean. They decided about linebacker this year. Or they decided they're only taking defensive guys. It's like, take Cam Scatteroo in the 3rd round. Take Cam Scatteroo. It's like these guys that are guaranteed kind of I don't know. It drives me crazy.
Well, the thing about the run game is that they're really only one good center or one good left guard from having a pretty decent offensive line. And I don't hate any of their picks on the defensive line this year, but if one of those guys was just a solid Pooney level player that you found in the second or third round, like if Alfred Collins was an offensive guard or a center that was just a stud, or if CJ West was instead a guard or center that was a stud, like I think this line is actually a lot better than we make it seem. Because right now at tackle, they're getting decent play. They're getting decent play out of McKivitz, and obviously Trent's Trent, and you have Pooney on the right side. So it's like they just need a left guard or a center, and they would be the left side's really the problem right now. There's left side in the middle. So if I think that where the philosophy breaks down is when they just refuse to take an offensive lineman unless they find it to be just a gem, like an absolute gem for them. In anything below the fourth round.
Sorry to interrupt you there, Kev. We should tell people 49er football season is presented on the Krueger Show this year by Sleeper, the fastest growing fantasy platform in the world. One-stop shop. You get blazing fast news, real-time stats, group chat, season-long leagues, and of course, Sleeper picks for daily fantasy. Use promo code Larry. Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Links in the description. Terms and conditions do apply. How did we do on our Sleeper lineup?
The lineup today. So we actually won this lineup because Mecca got voided because of the injury. So even though we didn't hit on the over, they voided it and said that since he was injured, they're gonna it's like insurance almost. Like they're not gonna
What?
give. Yes, they just took him out.
I would think injuries not. I'm shocked by that. So we won actually.
Yeah.
So we had Baker Mayfield more than 241.5 passing yards. He had 256. We had CMC more than 50.5 receiving yards. He had 57. Wow, that was close. We had Eddie Pinheiro with at least more than 1.5 field goals. He had 4, so that covered. And then we had a Buka over 70.5 receiving yards, and it didn't cover. But for $5, we won $21.50. So there you go. And we've won almost every week on Sleeper. So check out Sleeper, guys. Once again, the link's in the description. Use that promo code Larry. Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Links in the description. Terms and conditions do apply. All right. Should we hit some supers, Kev? What do you think?
Let's do it.
Okay. We got a bunch of people who want to donate here. And we got a couple more thoughts before we give game balls and talk a little bit about the week ahead. Joseph Ernberg says, no effing Robert Saleh praise either. I don't know why people are so down on Saleh. I mean, if you looked, I don't know if you heard those stats that I threw out in the pregame. Do you know that Robert Saleh, when he was with the Jets, his final 17 games with the Jets, this is an amazing stat. Final 17 games with the Jets, Robert Saleh was ranked number 1. Their defense was ranked number 1. In the 17 games since he left the Jets, in the same statistical categories, their defense is now ranked 32nd, dead last in the NFL. The Niners last year gave up 23 points a game, or were 28th in the league, or 29th in the league in points allowed, points per game allowed. They're 6th coming into today. So I don't know. I mean, I would say that. Oh, what happened? Did I hit a button here? Oh, sorry about that. Let me turn my thing back on. There we go. So I don't know. I guess I'm not as anti Robert Saleh as some of you guys. Joseph Ernberg says, I better not hear about going all in this season. How dare they consider trading for somebody? But yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. I mean, it doesn't seem like they should, based on the fact that they're, the two foundation pieces of their defense are now done for the year. Mike 824. But then the other thing is Bosa and Warner going to be healthier and better next year? So I hear what you're saying, but if they get a good record, I think they're still going to try to probably add a piece. Mike 824 says Brendel not good. It's very succinct and yet seems very accurate.
This is an unofficial stat, but per John Chapman, this was his stats on Jake Brendel's performance today. I mean, again, not sure where he's pulling this from. If I could see this being true, Jake Brendel 3 sacks allowed, 2 penalties, and 2 tackle for losses allowed.
Yeah. All right, it's a full day. It's a full day.
That's the type of performance you get from a Pro Bowl alternate. So
yeah, this guy's a Pro Bowler. Actually, upon closer review, he was a Pro Bowl alternate 3 years ago. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. All right, we need to be Joseph Ernberg. We need to be sellers at the deadline. Who are you going to sell, though? I hear you, but I mean, who are you going to sell? You really think you're going to
sell
trade
the players
like
that are injured?
Jair Brown? You know, you can tell. I heard somebody say, you know, they might sell Jason Pinnock. I said, what, dude? What are they getting for Jason Pinnock? I'd love to know. I mean, seriously, you're not getting a ham sandwich for any of these guys.
7th round pick, or
yeah. We traded Jason Pinnock, and we have 3 new ushers, and we have a new vendor in the upper deck. Casey says, Larry, is Nick Martin going to be called up, or are the 49ers going to pretend Bethune is the answer? No, it will be Nick Martin. I mean, Bethune might get the start. Bethune's a thumper, but Nick Martin is a better athlete, better runner. But I think Bethune might get the first crack. You know, and the Niners are not big. You know, the cupboard is not bare at linebacker. I mean, this is, you know, the old next man up thing. It all is dependent on one key factor. Who is that next guy up? You know what I mean? You know, when the Giants lost Buster Posey, he was like, well, next man up. But the next man up wasn't Buster Posey, so they sunk like a stone. Really
I wouldn't be completely afraid of having Caden Bethune on the field. Like, he's not, obviously he's no one's ever going to replace Fred. Their pass coverage is going to be much worse with Caden Bethune, but he's good. He makes tackles, so I wouldn't be completely afraid of that.
Niner fan 57 says, if you don't make Kyle or Chris admit that Brendel sucks in the next presser, I got to start thinking you're a plant. Laughing my ass off. Yeah, it's easy for you to say as you're sitting there in your Tandy 5000 with your fucking Snuggie sitting there. I wish somebody would be tougher. Yeah, great. But I will ask about Brendel, and I almost asked the question this week. There were other things that were a little bit more pressing with all the injuries, but I almost asked the question this week. As you know, you're not running the ball effectively, and you have a great back. So obviously it can't be your great back. So that means it's probably somebody on your line that's not opening holes. Are you guys I had that written down in my 4 or 5 questions that I wanted to ask this week. Are you guys considering offensive line lineup changes, considering the fact that you have one of the best backs in football and he's averaging a yard and a half less per carry than he has in his career? So either he's washed or somebody up front's washed. That question has to be asked. It doesn't have to be asked necessarily about Brendel, but it has to be asked that, hey, you guys aren't getting it done up front. You're not running the ball effectively. Are you considering lineup changes? And
the only thing that he might say is like
we have our best guys out there.
Yeah, like, what do you want to change? Like, there's no one to change.
Yeah, well, what do we need to change the line for? Look, we draft linemen. We draft Moody, and then we draft Cam Latu at the end of the 3rd round. We don't need linemen there.
Well, but if he did say, hey, you know, what are you thinking? You know, I mean, you have Zakel, you have Drake Nugent, you have Hennessy, who was a former starting center. You know, you have some other guys. And would you like to take a look at them? At some point, you probably should, right? If Jake Brendel were a Hall of Famer, it'd be one thing. If he was a 1st or 2nd round pick, he's a street free agent that they signed years ago. And even if he's given them some good years, I mean, at this point, it's probably time to find the next, the future at that position. And let's not keep acting like this guy's awesome either. I mean, it's like, come on, what are we talking about? You can't run at all, and you have CMC. So either CMC's cooked, and if you asked Kyle that question, is CMC done? He'd be totally mortally offended. He'd be like, you'd be like persona non grata, like from that point on, for saying that you think even asking the question, is CMC done? But if he's not done, then what's going on? How come he can't run anymore? Is it and it's like either it can't be on nobody. You know what I mean? The one person I'm pretty sure it's not to blame, it's none of us. You know what I mean? And it's I feel pretty good in saying that. It's not Danny, it's not Frank, it's not Rye, it's not me, it's not us. I don't know who it is, but it ain't us. Kyler started drinking when Fred went down. Season is over. Wow. I don't think the season is over, but I hear you. Harry Johnson, yes. Terrible line play on both sides of the ball. Yeah, the defensive line didn't do much against the run. I mean, it just felt like Rachaad White always got through the line of scrimmage very, very easily. I thought this was probably the worst I've seen from the defensive line. Boxing fan ×4. Chris Furster needs to change that trash thinking that he can coach up any O-lineman and drop the gavel, demand a first-round tackle. I mean, the 49ers, even in their heyday, when Bob McKittrick was drafting guys like Jesse Sapolu on day 3 of the draft and late in the draft and 12th round picks, Harris Barton was still a first. Bubba Paris was still a first. They still invested first-round draft choices in their tackles, even way back when. So this idea that you're going to be able to get by with, a guy in his 16th year and Colton McKivitz, and you're never going to need to draft a tackle. I mean, I would take a flyer on a couple offensive linemen in every single draft. And if I didn't like anybody, then I would go look for the Willie Lampkins of the world. Give me somebody who's not going to get drafted, who I'm going to pay a bonus to try to get him to sign here instead of Buffalo or Seattle or Green Bay or wherever else. Get more aggressive on their signing of these. There's got to be some project offensive lineman if you're not going to invest a high pick that you really like.
Larry,
yeah.
Let me ask you a question. I've been thinking about this for a couple of weeks. I wanted to ask you this question. Have the 49ers addressed why Jordan Mason was traded? And if so, I mean, do they look back on that now as a mistake, or they're not talking about it? Because he fumbles, but he actually runs the hell out the ball. Even with Minnesota, he's playing pretty well.
Yeah, no, I think it had just more to do with his money was going up, and he also wasn't really happy here. I think there was a little bit of a maturity issue. On
the record, I think their statement was strictly money, but I'm not saying that the other things can't be true. But
because he's a good player.
He is a good player.
Yeah,
and they knew he was a good player, and they got a pick for him. They turned around and traded him for a pick, and then turned around, or for 2 picks, and then turned around and traded one of those picks for Brian Robinson. But yeah, I mean, there's no question that I think Jordan Mason looks better than Brian Robinson, and they probably took a step back in that area. Stuart Damon says July 2026. This list in Lynch says Warner and Bosa are ahead of schedule and may be available by week 8. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. When you get older players, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, we're just injured. Well, no, you're leaning on too many older players, and you're not replenishing your roster well enough with enough depth in the draft. And so, yeah, whether you have great players or not, and this happens when you do have great players. When you have great players, they get old. If you have bad players or mediocre players, they kind of shuffle through, they kind of funnel through over time. But if you have great players, you stick with them. And then all of a sudden you look up and you're like, whoa, Fred's old, Trent's old, George is old, Nick's old. And these guys that never get hurt in their first 3 or 4 years are now getting hurt quite a bit. And then it's all kind of tied together. SRT_ says Saleh played way too much zone against fourth and fifth string wide receivers. We had the advantage with our press man cornerbacks. I kind of agree. I thought the coverage, when they didn't, the old saying is, if you match up, you play man. And if you don't match up, you play zone. And once they didn't have any of their top 3 receivers, and you do have your top 3 corners, why aren't you playing a lot of man and just strangling those guys at the line of scrimmage?
Yeah, a little bit of man and blitzing would help. If you're going to play man, that allows you to blitz. But if you're going to play the soft zone, what they do, and they rush 4, that's why they had one quarterback hit. They can't ever get to the quarterback with 4. And they don't have Bosa, obviously. So they rely on, I don't get it. It's just the same old. And I get what Ryan was trying to say when he was on about the defense. You've got to have stars to get to the quarterback. You can't get to the quarterback in this type of defense with guys that are not superstars, and you don't have Warner running all over the field to be able to snuff out some of these short passes and mid-range passes. So, you had Warner before, and then you had I'm drawing a blank with Denver now. Our
Greenlaw.
Greenlaw, yeah.
Greenlaw.
You have to have these superstar type players to work in this system if you're not going to be blitzing.
Well, I mean, it just depends what you got. If you're playing guys that can run, if you're going up against Tutu Atwell, give them room. But once you're going up against the guys that they were going up against in the second half of this game, they should have
4, 5, and 6.
They should have absolutely hugged up on these guys and just dared them to throw it over their head. Instead, they played soft and allowed Baker to make throws in front of them. I mean, Sterling Shepard can no longer run. It's like why you would ever allow that guy to make an uncontested catch in front of you. Why you wouldn't just hug up on him and contest all the stuff in front of you and make him show that he can run by you. And instead, I thought they gave him a lot of really easy completions. It just seemed like the coverage was really loose. And he had options. And then when he did take off and run, I thought the tackling today looked crap. They didn't tackle well against Rachaad White. And then on the biggest play of the game, they didn't tackle at all against Mayfield. It wasn't a crisp tackling game for the 49er defense at all.
Yeah,
Rachaad White. D. Winters missed a tackle. He had Rachaad White behind the line of scrimmage on 3rd and short and missed a tackle that he can end up converting. And then on that same drive was the Baker Mayfield scramble.
Mikel missed a couple in the backfield as well. I saw. Yeah. I mean, you had Niner defenders falling off of tackles most of the day. I mean, it was not a crisp tackling effort. Purple Alligator Piss says, who takes over as head of the defense, ability to adjust on the fly with headset when Warner goes down? Whoever wears the green dot. And it's probably going to be, probably wind up being Tatum Bethune. But it's hard to say, who could be D. Winters. But one of those guys will wind up wearing the green dot, and that's the guy who communicates. And they'll make that decision this week because Warner has been that guy, and that's a major loss.
And these going back to this zone and not man up on your 4th, 5th, and 6th receivers. Isn't Renardo, Green, Demo, and Stout supposed to be great one-on-one cover guys? I mean, isn't that why especially Green and Demo, everybody talks about how great cover guys they are. Why not put them in man-to-man, press coverage against these guys?
Yeah, I thought there was a couple plays too in the second half where Renardo was not nearly as aggressive as he needed to be on some of those run plays, where it's like he's 5 yards down the field and he's kind of waiting for the running back to come downfield. It's like, no, get upfield and attack him, and give him as few yards as possible. I thought some of the way they played the run was really like, it's like, are you guys playing a bend but don't break? I mean, are you trying to make plays in the backfield? It seemed like I don't know, this defense, the Niners maybe look a little on the tired side, which is, odd since they had extra rest coming into this game.
Yeah, but I don't understand. You watch the game and with Tampa Bay's top 3 receivers out, and then you're watching Baker pick apart the zone because they're only rushing forward. They're not getting any pressure. That's when you have to change it up. You have to, if he's going to pick apart the zone, then you're going to have to rush more. And then you expose guys to one-on-one. But that's what you have to do, is get up, lock down. I mean, Renardo Green, that's what he was drafted for, was to be a lockdown one-on-one corner. That's what he did at Florida State. That's his specialty. And then you put.
Well, see, here's the problem though, Danny. If you don't feel like you have the ability to get to the passer,
you got to blitz.
you got to blitz, but I mean, if you don't think you can get to the passer, I think most defensive coordinators feel like they can stand up for if the quarterback's going to have a couple extra seconds, they always feel like they can stand up in zone for a couple extra seconds better than they can stand up in man.
But if you put pressure, when I watch, who was it that beat down Brady in the Super Bowl with the pass rush? I can't remember.
Tampa.
Giants.
It was Tampa, yeah. And the Giants. Yeah, and the Giants. You got to, that's how you beat these guys, is you have to put relentless pressure on the quarterback to force him to throw it early. And
you got to do it with your front four. So you have to be able to do it with your front four. Otherwise, you're giving, these quarterbacks like defined looks, and then they know where to go with the ball, and it's hard to live that way. So that's why, Robert Saleh loves to get it done with his front four. That's his preference.
But you don't have any guys on the front four. You don't have it. I mean, you don't have it.
What do? You got to mix in some blitzes and cross your fingers. And there were times where they made a couple plays, and there was a lot of times where Baker just seemed like he had all day to scan the field. Fuji says, what would you say to Colby, Brendel, Trent, and Pooney? I would say, guys, tighten up. Colby, you got to get healthy. Trent, Trent's a Hall of Famer. I mean, I don't know what, I don't think Trent's problems are anything other than he's maybe a little bit susceptible to some of the speedier guys. Pooney, I would say, snap out of it. I mean, you're not having a good year. Kev said it earlier, but I'll say it again. That penalty that he had on 4th and inches, that's the kind of thing that gets you benched. I mean, that's just absolutely shutting off your mental faculties altogether. That's almost as bad as like jumping off sides, like when the team's trying to bait you to jump off sides and they have no plan on calling a play. Some teams fall for that. Heck, at the high school level, they fall for it all the time. But they really do. It's funny because my son's Northgate team, they're JVs. I mean, every time they get to short yardage, they go up to the line of scrimmage, and the quarterback goes hard count, and some poor high school defensive lineman jumps off sides, and it's like automatic first down. It's like one of our best plays. I mean, it's like literally, I feel most confident when I see us trying to make the other team jump off sides. But yeah, I mean, Mac Jones was running for his life. Mac Jones is not going to last 2 more quarters if they don't improve this offensive line. So I'd say, guys, do you like Mac Jones? And if they said, yeah, we kind of like Mac Jones, then let's keep him upright, right? And then Mac has got to throw the ball away. I mean, he took a couple sacks today where he didn't make, he's got to make them look better too by throwing the ball away. He took a couple sacks where it's like, dude, the guy's running right at you. Throw it away. And if you got to take a penalty, take a penalty, but don't take the sack there. Do not take a hit. Fuji Simeon, thank you for that one. DeBig down here says, when in the fuck are Shanahan and Lynch going to address the O-line? Been an issue for years. Brendel is awful. Pooney's going backwards, and Trent looks old. Yeah, I mean, I guarantee you this. The first round pick in April is going to be an offensive tackle. Guarantee you. Absolutely guaranteed. I don't think they're going to trade it. I think they're going to take an offensive tackle. But that's probably 2 or 3 years too late. I mean, they need to build a fortress around whatever quarterback they're going to go with. And it looks like it's going to be Brock Purdy, but I mean, they got to build him a fortress. Otherwise, they got no shot. I mean, Hurts would not have won the Super Bowl if he didn't have a big, physical, dominant offensive line in front of him. But he did, and he did. And if the Niners want to win with the quarterbacks they have, they better do the same. They better build that offensive line. D. Martinez says interior O-line or safety, don't know which was worse. Yeah, I mean, and then Mustafa, did you guys see Mustafa do anything?
He made one play. I just
flew up a couple times. He flew by. Yeah, I didn't see him.
Yeah,
he didn't get any big hits.
No, he didn't.
Harry says knew we were cooked after giving up that 3rd and 14. Yeah, the 3rd and 14 was the backbreaker. To big JJ and Shanny going at it during half and on the sideline. Didn't see it. I'm sure we'll be talking about it. Has Shanahan addressed that, by the way, in the postgame?
I'll look into that.
Yeah, see if you could find that cut. Heck Dell says time to make calls about Roquan Smith and Trey Hendrickson. Yeah, with Warner out, you may need to find another linebacker. Niner fan 5-7. This week is time to find out what Lynch thinks. Fred is gone. A dominant edge will help. Time to get a feel of how they feel about this season. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, how do you guys think they feel about this season? Because, Shanahan, when he was asked about, hey, are you, the same as 2019? He's like, no. And Lynch was like, we need to earn the right to make a trade. How do you think they see their team?
Wait, can I just share this real quick? This was Shanahan on the Juwan Jennings altercation.
Just intense competitive conversation between two people, and at the end of the second quarter, but we were good.
That's the comment.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this. There's a lot of yelling and screaming. Frank, you know it. Danny, you know it. I mean, you guys have either been involved or had siblings involved in big time, either pro sports, college sports. It's like there's a lot more volatility in this thing than people realize. There's guys who are throwing hands. There's players who are fighting, coaches that are fighting. These are type A personalities. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of money on the line. There's people are being held accountable by bosses above them. And there's pressure points, and it's, and these guys are sleep deprivation monsters, and you get to this point in the year, and, maybe some guys are pissed about certain things. Maybe you bang the table. Think about it. Maybe you bang the table for a certain player in April, only to have them say, no, we're going to give Brant Boyer, Junior Bergen instead. And now maybe your guy's playing well somewhere else, and Junior Bergen didn't make the team, and you're now getting yelled at because your position group is not doing it. And the guy that you wanted was, your boss decided he wasn't going to draft, and maybe that guy's playing well. You know what I'm saying? There are reasons that guys get disenchanted with one another, and players and coaches, coaches and coaches. At the end of the day, I don't want to say it's much ado about nothing, but it's not one of those things where the season, just because Shanahan was yelling at JJ and JJ was yelling at Shanahan doesn't mean, that they're like, for JJ has to be traded. It's not Kapler and Zach Littell or Kapler and Sam Coonrod or something where it's like, we must get rid of this guy before 5:00 tomorrow night. They'll figure it out. We got this one from Kevin Spencer. Kyle needs to address the O-line. Thanks, Kev. Bill M says Sky Moore. It's like nobody's coaching him. I know, seriously. I mean, what the heck? Your only job is to be a return man, and you're catching balls at inside the 5. Some coaches will coach it where put your back to the 10-yard line, and if you have to take even one step backwards, don't, and get the hell out of there and let it fall. So plant yourself at the line that you just will not you're going to catch the ball at the 10. If it goes over your head, or if you have to go 3 steps backward, beg off of it and let it drop. Let it fall into the end zone and get the ball at the 25 or whatever it is. For him to catch a couple of those balls inside the 10, it's like, and then they could be turnovers. And, last week the game started with a muffed kick that he just lucked out on. He looks, one, he's not busting big plays. 2, he looks like he doesn't have a clue. Like he's doing it for the first time. And then it looks like there's it looks like a turnover is like coming. So I don't get it. I'd love to hear Brant Boyer's commentary on Sky Moore, because it was atrocious today. Absolutely atrocious. Tommy Black, going for it after the false start was a terrible call. Take the points and they could have still tied it. Prayers to Fred Warner, excited for Nick Martin. Yeah, what do you guys think about that? We kind of already covered that, but we're all in agreement. Take the points there.
That was my take.
Kev, what do you think?
I think I like the call. You're down by 1 score. You might not have another chance. If Tampa gets the ball back, they were running it just fine on you. Your defense was wilting. I think you could have never had another shot. So I don't.
You're
I don't
okay
hate
with
that
that
call.
Heck Dell says you take the Eddie De Niro points and pin the Bucks back instead of giving them good field position. When did Shanahan become Dan Campbell?
I think that 4th and a foot and 8 inches, 1 foot 8 inches. The Pooney was the killer. There was 2 plays.
Yes, that was a killer.
That defined it. It was the 3rd and 15 where Baker scrambled, and then that, even the 3rd and 1 play, they ran the QB sneak and they couldn't get it. That's how bad the running game is that 3rd and 1, you can't even give it to McCaffrey and get a yard. This is where I think the team was short-sighted in getting rid of Jordan Mason. The dude was a pounder. The guy averages 4.7 yards per carry right now in the league. And he's a guy that always give him up the middle. He's going to bounce off somewhere. He's young. He's doesn't have the mileage that McCaffrey has. I don't know why they got rid of him. What was the point in getting rid of Jordan Mason in the first place? Was it the money or was it the
it was the fact that he was going to make more money. He was unhappy. He was unhappy here. The Niners got mad at him last year because he talked out of turn. They said something to him, and then he reacted in a way that was very 12-year-old-ish. And it's like that level of immaturity. These guys are pros. I think they just decided he needed a change of scenery. I don't think it was about his performance as much as it was about his maturity or lack of maturity. And the other thing about him, it's easy to say, I'll give him the ball and get, but he was a terrible fumbler as well. He also fumbled the ball a lot. So I don't think, Kyle Shanahan does not like, he's not the only one, but he does not like backs that fumble. I don't think it's accidental that Brian Robinson. Well, Brian Robinson or Isaac Guerrero fumbled 3 times in practice. Yeah,
Guerendo's got to go. Guerendo's useless in my opinion. But you didn't want to pay Mason, but you go out and pay Luke Farrell.
Another one. The Luke Farrell signing was awful. He's stiff. He doesn't do much as a blocker. He's already fumbled. He's not a big time athlete.
Second tight end, so we can have a blocking tight end.
Jeez. That was such a waste of cash. Some of
the things they have done over the years. You mentioned, I don't remember if you mentioned Cam Latu in your 3rd round bust, but
how about Malcolm whatever from the Seahawks? Remember they signed him, they gave him big money. Yeah. Weston Richburg, they gave him big money. Obviously the draft pick screw ups are pretty much on the tip of our tongue. Sells surprise face. Time to fix this shitty ass O-line. Tell us how you feel. Fuji Simeon, with all the injuries on defense, does this lead the team to lean on offense more going forward when Kittle, Purdy, Pearsall, Ayuk are all back? Well, I think it makes sense that their offense is going to have to step up and carry them at some point because their defense is so young. But who knows?
Can any of those guys go two-way? Can they play defense too? Some of them.
No. Sells surprise face. Defense is so ass. We got beat by 3rd-string wide receivers. No, I know. That was the most embarrassing part of this thing is the Niners couldn't stop Tampa even after Tampa lost all their players. Tampa's best players are Bucky Irving, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Emeka Egbuka. Those are their 4 top weapons. They were down their 4 top weapons, and it didn't matter. They beat the Niners with their scrubs. That's what's embarrassing. It's like the Niners have to get back on that plane and know that they got their what's handed to them by the Buccaneers practice squad. Kent says, can't win with garbage O-line. Nice job, Lynch and Kyle. Los is in the house. What's up, Los? Mm-hmm. And Los drops this one. He said, who's touching it? Somebody playing with this? Lowe says the injuries suck big time, but there's a reason Kyla has the record he does trailing late because having to pass block with a below average offensive line doesn't work. What the most frustrating part about the Niners is that they seem like they can only really pass when it's a great passing situation. They can't pass. They can pass when they're ahead. They can pass on first down. They can pass on second down. But if they have to pass when they're behind, no. If they have to pass on third down, no. If they don't have play action available, then that really hurts them. It seems like they have to have a lot of things going for them before they can pass. Couple more here. Sells surprise, or that was Los. Rise back where I get to see you. Sells surprise faces. Bring back capital punishment for Brendel. Might be a little extreme, but whatever. Thomas Selman, players coming. Atlanta has a short week. Flush it. All right. Guys looking glass half full. Josh B, every single draft pick needs to be O-line. My God. Chris Topher, game was lost in that Baker scramble on 3rd and 14. Oh, God, that was I was screaming. I was literally screaming in the room. My other two boys, my wife were looking at me like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, this is absolutely ridiculous. Niner fans can't wait to see the JJ penalty again. I thought it was a lateral. Could be wrong. They didn't show it again, but I thought it was a lateral. Did you guys think it was a lateral? I don't even know which one he's talking about.
Which was he talking about?
Yeah, I mean, JJ had that pick play or offensive pass interference. That's the only one I know about.
I don't.
Yeah.
Well, the way they explained it was he was more than a yard down the field. He was too far down, to pick. So,
right, you can't do that. John Kimball says on the upside, we have our kicker for the future. Yeah, seriously, just
they're literally leaning on him. Like in this game, they leaned on him offensively.
He's Vinatieri, man. This guy's like Vinatieri right now.
Oh, he's the best.
Yeah.
And not only that, some Niner lineman stepped on him. That guy.
Yeah, they never showed who that was. I was wondering.
I know, seriously,
who that was.
I mean, how incriminating is that? We're going to show a foot, and we're going to show the guy limping, but we're not going to show you the guy whose foot made him limp. I mean, come on. That was such a weird thing too. And it's like, by the way, if you're the guy who hurts the kicker when the kicker's going that good, it's like you should have to make your own accommodations back to SFO. You know what I mean? Hey guys, we're going on the team flight. You over there, Mr. You spiked our kicker.
He might be the 3rd most important player on the offense right now.
Exactly. Go check the Delta counter. That's what I would say. Humdinger, Vita Vea made Dominic look puny. Oh, look at that. I like that. Little play on words. Dom Pooney has gotten worked. Sells surprise face. Secondary is trash. Bench Brown and Siegel. So trash. It's easy to, everybody would look bad when there's no rush. They're not getting it done up front. Bobby Bill says no excuse for not building an O-line. Name me one dynasty that did not build an O-line with the exception of Bill Walsh. But this line were not big but athletic. Oh, he's talking about Bill Walsh's line. Well, Walsh had McKittrick. The Niners have had a philosophy that goes back forever. Don't invest high picks in offensive linemen. That's okay as long as your offensive line, you get guys that can, you can operate and be effective within your system. But if you're just going to have just like guys off the street, and you're just going to keep going with the guys off the street telling us that they're good enough, it's like after a while, we just don't want to be gaslit by that. And it's like we have our own eyes. We're going to give our own evaluation. I mean, I've never questioned O-line evaluation more than this year. I mean, I've seen some O-line evaluations from PFF that say that Brendel's one of the best centers in football. And it's like, that ain't worth – it makes me say that PFF is going to be out of business pretty soon. I mean, seriously. I mean, if you're PFF, if that's your thing and you're going to go around telling us that Jake Brendel's really good, then you're not going to exist in like 2 years.
Somebody should check and see who owns PFF. It's probably some student from UCLA that used to go to UCLA or something, right?
Right, exactly. Anthony Catania, who's a great sponsor of the Krueger Show. Check him out. Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're great friends of the show, and you can check them out, 205 Cypress Avenue down in along the Monterey Peninsula, Pacific Grove to be exact. Anthony Catania is at 831-521-5264, and he's a great follow on Instagram at Sharp Corners 831 on the gram. He says, sick to my stomach seeing Fred going down for the year. Need Kittle's energy ASAP. This is brutal. Jed, call a Catholic priest and start dumping holy water everywhere at the facility in the stadium. And this O-line is embarrassing. Yeah. Maybe a road trip. The Niners, they used to stay, on the road. They're going to take a trip to Lourdes and dip the O-line in the holy water. Maybe that will work because nothing else seems to. Josh B., they should trade Kittle and Bosa, in my opinion. That's a kind of a baseball concept of like when you're struggling and you still have some great players, trade those great players for lots of picks and, kind of broaden your horizons. I don't, as far as your personnel building, it's not quite done that way in the NFL, but I hear you. I mean, we saw the Ravens do it. They traded Odafe Owe to the Chargers last week. But yeah, I mean, what do you guys think? Should the Niners take kind of a more drastic approach to their situation and say, hey, let's trade off some of these guys in the twilight for draft pick compensation, take our lumps and have a deep draft pick of arsenal of picks in 26 and beyond to try to rebuild with? Or do you not move those guys because they're brand names and you're losing connection with the fans and you may have some empty seats? What do you guys think?
I
wouldn't hate it.
Have done that.
Oh. Go ahead. Frank, go ahead.
I wouldn't. Yeah, Frank, go ahead.
Go ahead, Ryan, man. I love hearing you talk. Dude.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Go ahead, Frank.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, I think
Can I go?
should go. I wouldn't hate it. I mean,
all of you, shut up! No. Be like Radnich back in the day. Just shut up!
I wouldn't.
Go ahead,
I
Class?
mean,
Class?
it'd be a huge bomber. I mean, first step was kind of like Debo, getting rid of Debo. I mean, you kind of see right now. I mean, look, Ayuk's going to come back. I don't care about Ayuk at all. I don't care at all. He'll make a marginal difference when he comes back. He'll still probably be a really good player, but it's like you see it every year at the deadline. Receivers can be had. I'm kind of done with the receivers. They don't need them. It reminds me of like 2019. It's like, oh, you need somebody, Emmanuel Sanders. All right, come in. That's easy. I just don't think they should be investing this much capital in like all these guys. Another guy,
I agree, especially when the Bournes of the world can step off the freaking scrap heap and produce.
Even Kittle. I mean, I love Kittle. He's like one of the most valuable pieces in the league. I mean, if you could get a first-round pick for Kittle, I'd send him away.
I mean, my thing is when you look at the NFC, yeah, I mean, Detroit's kind of a juggernaut, but we don't, just like you were saying earlier, Larry, it's going to be a war of attrition. We don't know who's going to be good. There is not one great super duper team in the NFC. So if you get hot at the right time, you don't know where you're going to be. I mean, it's
a great point. I mean, who is the best team in the NFC?
Lions.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean,
if I'd asked you that last week, you might have said Eagles. Right?
If you think the Niners, I think it's crazy to assume the Niners are selling. It's asinine. If they were going to sell any of those players, they were going to sell them this offseason, which we saw them already do with Debo. Like if you told me before the season started the Niners are going to be 4-2 in one of the top teams of the NFC, and they're going to be selling, I'd be your high. Like that, it makes no sense. They're 4-2. Like it would make no sense at this point in the season to start selling. I get it. There's injuries. But
when's the trade deadline? November 4th. Okay, let me ask you guys this. There's 3 games before that. What happens if the Niners go 0-3 based on their injuries? They lose to the Falcons. They lose to the Giants on Sunday before the trade deadline. They lose 3 in a row, and all of a sudden they're 4-5. You still think
that changes the calculus?
Yeah, exactly.
What also I need to know, Danny, is I need to know what are you offering me?
Well, yeah,
but I mean, what am I? True. I would imagine Trent Williams. Like who's the most coveted guys? Trent Williams, Christian McCaffrey, Nick Bosa, and he's obviously hurt. Kittle. But a couple of the guys would be Warner and Bosa. You can't move them. I mean, and then how important is it to kind of have those leaders in the room? This is the other thing too. It's like, the best personnel people in whatever sport we're talking about, Sam Presti in the NBA, Pick your GM in the NFL, whoever the best GM is in baseball. The best ones have this relative coldness to their personality, and they can deal away guys easily. And they're, look at Sean McVay. He lost the Super Bowl, and he's like, Goff, get the hell out of here. He just got rid of him. Now Goff's pretty good, but he got rid of him because he's like didn't believe him in it anymore. So there's like a coldness to it. There's there's such a warmth around Shanahan and Lynch. The way they talk to their players, the way they talk about their players, they're very wed to their best players. And I think they're gonna have a very, very hard time. I think it's kind of like a Bob Myers situation where Myers basically had to just say, I'm out of here, or make Joe kick him out because he didn't want to get rid of Draymond. He didn't want to get rid of Steph. He didn't want to get rid of Clay. He didn't want, because those are his buddies. He loves those guys. And it's the same thing with Lynch and these players. I mean, they're hugging these players. They're loving these players. There's like an emotional connection to these players. I don't think there is that emotional connection after you've kind of gone through a whole cycle. But you got to remember, this is their first cycle of being the head coach and general manager. So they haven't had guys who they drafted, who they had to cut because they're now need to be gone and retired and they no longer can do it. They're still in that mode of like, JJ's our guy, George is our guy, Juice is our guy. These are our guys. Well, guess what? In a year or two, all of those guys are going to have to be changed out. And if you're so wed to these guys that you can't make those moves, then we're going to have to move on from you and go get other guys who can make those moves. So that's, I think, the one thing I'd be a little concerned about is just there's so much affinity between the front office and the coaching staff with their best players. They seem more tied to them than other organizations. Do you guys do you sense that, or am I?
I definitely do. You look at all the guys that hold out and they get the last minute deals. Look, they're going to Cancun and they're going to Cabo, and it's like, hey, we all went to Cabo together. Well, if you're going to Cabo together, how do you go up to that guy and go, hey, we're cutting you for a guy that the Titans just cut a guy that's a little bit better than you, so see you later. You're not going to do that because you just went to Cabo with him and his wife, and you're all connected and tight. So I just think that it's gotten a little. It's great to have a family, but it's not really a family, is it? I personally, I think they make decisions not wisely in many cases. Like, for example, I'll say this. At the time, and this isn't hindsight in 20, I'm not saying this in hindsight. I said this when Brock was negotiating. For one, I'm happy Brock got his contract because I love Brock, and I'm glad he got generational wealth. He deserves it. But from a business standpoint, you didn't have to sign him with Mac Jones in camp. You could have let him play on the fourth year and then turned around and franchised him twice. And you could have evaluated between this year what Mac and Brock are doing, and now you're stuck to this long contract. And
they're not really, though. I know what you're saying, but they're really not. I mean, if you look in the X's and O's on this thing, they can get out of this deal in a very short amount of time if they want. But not that they're going to, but they could.
In the meantime, it's a lot of money they spent that maybe they didn't need to.
But they didn't know that Mac Jones was necessarily going to play well in their system.
I think they did. I think they did. I think you had to know he would. I think you had to know. You wanted him in when you drafted Lance. You saw how he was at Alabama. You saw. Well, if you
knew, then if you knew, you probably shouldn't have signed.
I think in hindsight, you had to know why. You could see that he's.
Well, I'll say this:
a backup.
People are acting now. Maybe the Niners knew, but the people who cover this team and the fans, those people were laughing at me all spring and summer when I was like, Mac Jones is one of the best acquisitions of the offseason. Like, what? Mac Jones? Mac Jones sucks. Mac Jones. So a lot of people are just reactionary and they don't see anything, and it's just a matter of they have to see it. They don't. There's some people are visionaries, some people aren't. Some people don't see. They only see things as they are. And other people see things as they potentially can be. I think if you're a personnel person, you probably got to have that trait of being able to see kind of beyond the thoughts, the general consensus of the populace in the present, and kind of think long term and try to be independent in your evaluation. D. Martinez.
Let's do game balls here.
Okay.
Just so we don't do it at the dead end.
Okay, so we're brought to you by Habbas Law, 1-800-INJURED. They will fight to make it right. Today's show sponsored by our good friends at Habbas Law for more than 40 years. Omar Habbas and his son Tarek have been standing up for people right here in Northern California. They're fierce, relentless PI attorneys. They don't back down until justice is done. So they're official partners of Bay Area institutions like the Giants, the Earthquakes, the Sharks. They're very much rooted right here in the community. So if you need someone in your corner, call the firm that insurance companies hope that you'll never call, and that's Habbas Law. They will fight to make it right. Visit them on the web at habbaslaw.com, HABBAS law.com. 1-800-INJURED is the number. Before we hit any more supers, let's go game balls. Rye, we'll start with you. Who gets your game ball in this one?
I'll take Kendrick Bourne. I mean, how about this guy? I think we all thought that he was pretty much completely washed. He looked terrible in the one game with Brock Purdy, but the guy undoubtedly has a connection with Mac Jones. And, I mean, yeah, he looked like a complete wide receiver one out there. He had a drop early on, and it was like next play, Mac went right back to – or wait, no, he made the mistake.
D-Rob, you're talking about D-Rob. Had the drop.
Yeah, I got D-Rob mixed up. But Kendrick Bourne made the mistake on the Mac Jones pick.
Right.
Obviously, it was brutal. But then the very next play, Mac went to him, and I think he, got it across midfield. It was like 30, 40-yarder. So just awesome job by Bourne. He's also a great blocker. And,
great dude, too. I mean, it is amazing. It is amazing, isn't it? I mean, he's not just playing pretty well. He's making big plays. And when you see him make these kinds of plays, it does kind of make you go, why would you ever pay the Ayuks of the world? Why? If you can get Kendrick Bourne and Demarcus Robinson off the street, I don't know that I'd be paying my receivers. I mean, if I got Randy Moss, if I got Jerry Rice, if I got Terrell Owens, fine. Otherwise, I don't want to pay receivers, And I definitely, if I could get something for Ayuk, I would at this point, just because I just don't think that I think he's likely to be a little diminished at some point. Danny, who gets your game ball?
All right, this is a little unconventional, but I'm going to give it to two guys that play the same position. I'm going to give it to Fred Warner for when he was in there. He blew up one play that he knocked the lineman into the running back for a loss that was set up to be a big play. It was going to be a screen, and he played his heart out. And for what he had to go through, love Fred. And Tatum Bethune, who took his place, 10 tackles, 5 solo. So kind of a combo there. Warner and Bethune. Bethune coming in a tough situation, not probably thinking he's going to be playing and leading the defense in a pretty tight game. And I thought he played pretty well based on the circumstances.
Frank, who gets your game ball today?
I'm gonna go out of the blue, and I'm gonna say Jair Brown. Jair Brown is a guy who I've been watching since he was a sophomore at Penn State. And I think he's a pretty good instinctive football player. He might not be a starter. He might not be the guy who jumps off at you. But I think he'll be around the NFL for a long period of time. He had 5 tackles today. And he's a guy who plays better in the games than maybe he does on a day-to-day basis. But I'm happy to see that he's getting an opportunity and he's starting to play reasonably well to the point where he deserves to be on the 53-man roster. So hopefully that play will continue.
Great dude, by the way. One of my favorite guys on this team. All right, I'll go next. We'll let Kev go last. I'm going with Eddie Pinheiro. I mean, Eddie Pinheiro accounted for 13 points in this game. Is that right? Niners scored 19. Eddie accounted for 13, and the rest of the team accounted for 6.
No, he accounted for 12. Right?
No, 4 field goals. And an extra point.
The extra point. Yeah, my bad.
So 13 out of 19 and 15 field goals in a row. And, Danny, we were talking about this when Moody, we were talking about Moody and Eddie and what do the Niners really need out of Eddie. And I'm like, what they really need is they need Eddie to not just be a better kicker than Jake. They need him to go on like a run where he makes like 10 in a row or 15 in a row, so that it's just like we stop thinking negative thoughts and we start thinking positive thoughts. But this guy, the book on him was that he can't really make the field goals from 50. He's remarkably solid. I think they have found their guy. I mean, without a doubt, this is their guy. This guy's very popular. How old is Eddie Pinheiro? He can't be that old, right? He's got to be. Yeah, he's 30 years old.
He's a 6-year veteran. I think 6 years or something.
So this guy could be your kicker, like going forward, like maybe
at least another 7-8 years.
Yeah, his career is just it's shocking. I mean, it really is shocking. He is a career, guys. This is career, 89% career. 122 for 137. He's 1 for 1 on 1 to 10. He's 28 for 28 on 20 to 29 yards. He's 45 of 48 from 30 to 39 yards. He's 35 of 44, 40 to 49 yards. He's 13 of 16 for 50 plus yards, but he's hit all of them with the Niners.
Did you say 1 for 1 from 0 to 10?
1 to 19 yards.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, how do you hit it?
Yeah. But I mean, and some of those, 35 of 44 from 40 to 49 is not great. And so that's not great. But I mean, he looks great. He absolutely looks great. He's got plenty of leg. He's got the right personality as far as he's a veteran, durable. He fits in really well. The guys really like him. He's got this great perspective where he doesn't try to ever make any excuse ever. And he just is like, hey man, if I hit it, I'll be here. If I don't, they're going to cut me. And he's like, it's just life in the NFL. And I'm fine with it. It's like when somebody's got that kind of like, you know what, I've got it all in perspective. What it does is it takes the weight of the whole kicking situation off of him and off of the team. It's not that is he better than Jake? Of course. Jake missed all these kicks. This guy's making all these kicks. But really the impact is there was so much weight on Jake's kicks that it was starting to become a distraction, where this guy just, 55-yarder, up, no problem. 52-yarder, up, no problem. Right down the middle. Here we go. So I'm going Eddie Dinero Pinheiro. Kev, we got to make that shirt. Kev, go ahead. Who gets your game ball, Kev? Your Habbas Law.
I just want to share this. Eddie Pinheiro, this is not accounting for today where he made all of his kicks. So he actually I think he's now second all time for field goal percentage as a kicker. And he was just on the street. So,
and the second kicker the second best kicker is currently on the street. right. Tucker's on the street
for reasons other than football.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna give my game ball to Mac Jones. If I was gonna give it to any player, including Tampa Bay, I'd also give it to Baker. I just think that the quarterbacks in this game, played their asses off. I think Mac Jones, like the entire game, I just felt like he put the ball where it needed to go. Obviously, saying that in a game where someone throws 0 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, it sounds like that can possibly be correct. But I really felt like, despite all the pressure, he got sacked 6 times, which is the most of any game in his career. He was facing adversity, but he still was able to make big plays. I think the Niners don't have a lot of points in this game if it wasn't for some big bombs to Kendrick Bourne early in this game. So I think Mac Jones played his ass off, but Baker Mayfield, I mean, oh my God, this guy's career trajectory needs to be studied. It's insane. This guy was left for dead playing for the Rams on Thursday Night Football with 1 day of preparation. And now this guy is like one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I don't think the one thing that Baker Mayfield had not going from like in his career, he was a little risky, he'd throw interceptions. He's totally figured that out. I don't think there was a single play today where I thought, oh, that ball could have been intercepted. Like he's totally dialed in right now. And if I'm a Bucs fan, I'm happy with Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. JD enters the discussion after being on KMBR. What's going on, JD?
What's up, fellas? Yeah, tough night. I think if you're a 49er fan, I mean, independent, obviously, of the game, I mean, it doesn't get much worse than losing Fred Warner on top of losing Nick Bosa, but they are 4-2, which means they've still got a shot to win some regular season games at a minimum and then see what they can make of this season. So I don't think all is lost, but I think it was tough, I think, if you're a Niner fan, to kind of watch the game because you were just thinking of Fred Warner and you feel obviously so awful for him. It was kind of hanging over, and I thought the Niners fought in this game against the Bucs, but it just felt like the Warner injury was kind of hanging over everything throughout the course of the game, and most definitely from being here in Tampa, the post-game locker room and press conferences.
Yeah, it definitely was a cast a pall on everything. What were the calls like afterwards? I mean, I know you guys were on KMBR. Were people crushing anybody in particular, or talking at all about Jennings and Shanahan and that whole our disagreement that they had in the second quarter? What was the big topics in the postgame?
Yeah, the Jennings Shanahan thing was among, really, it was about expectations now for the season. That was the big theme of the show. We did get into Jennings and Shanahan somewhat there because, I think it's three parts, right? It's Jennings with all the incentives in his contract where he needs to be on the field and productive to earn his money. You've got Kendrick Bourne, who's clearly got a rapport with Mac Jones, and you've also got Jennings, trying to be out there, but he's battling through all these injuries. But the big theme of the show was just kind of where do the 49ers go and what are appropriate expectations for what this season can be. And it's everything from the season's over, get ready for 2026 to, they should go make a trade. And if you were going to make one trade, now make two trades, which I don't necessarily think that the 49ers are going to be looking to do that. But it was kind of running the gamut of, feeling just how snake bitten this team has been with all of the different injuries through many years and losing the best two players on the defense. So a lot of the big picture, they can make the playoffs, but, and I'm sure you guys have discussed it. I will speak for myself on this. I don't think they are a Super Bowl contender without Fred Warner under any circumstances. I don't think there are a trade or two trades you could make. I probably wouldn't put him in that category even after the Bosa trade. I think the whole season was supposed to be, can they earn with their play the right to, by December, have us believe that they can be a Super Bowl contender based on how they're playing, how healthy they are, et cetera. So I think that's a bar, frankly, that they can't get to. But that being said, I also don't think the season should be completely viewed as a calamity and to where it's, let's just, tank it and develop and win 5 or 6 games. No, not when you're 4-2 and not with the schedule that the 49ers have ahead. Now you can look at it game by game through, I would say, a good chunk of the final 11 games that they have. I would say maybe 7 or 8 of the final 11 games you'd say are still on paper right now 50-50s. And I think the next 3 games they have are basically that, right? They could beat Atlanta at home without Fred Warner and Nick Bosa. They also could lose to Atlanta at home without Fred Warner and Nick Bosa. And I think the same could be, case can be made for at Houston, and the same could be made for at the Giants, given the fact that the Giants have played better, in particular at home, in the 2 games they played with Jackson Dart. So to me, that this season and the willingness for the 49ers to continue to fight is about whether or not they can, let's say, win 2 of the next 3 games and continue to push away from that 500 mark a little bit more. Can you get to 6-3 going into that Rams game, and then you see where you're at there. This team's also going to have to be, I think, an offensively dependent team. I just don't see, without a pass rush and now without Fred Warner, 1, quarterbacking the defense, but 2, just mucking things up in the middle of the field. The middle of the field is going to be wide open, and you saw it tonight. Tampa able to take advantage of it. I think they're going to have even more problems stopping the run, and I think teams already felt they could run it on them. The Niners had held up, but I mean, who's going to be the guy flying around making tackles, running sideline to sideline now? With Tatum Bethune's going to try, and we'll see if Nick Martin now can be active for the first time in his career, which I think is going to be coming next Sunday against the Falcons. But I just don't see, even with Saleh, even with an honest effort, Tampa went after the secondary and the safeties in particular. Again, the 49ers were kind of rotating safeties. So I think teams are going to look to take advantage of that. Long story short, the defense, I think, is just going to be in a really tough position now to even be respectable for the rest of the season. So as they, in theory, get healthier offensively, I think they're just going to have to win this game or win games this season by trying to get into the upper 20s to 30 and hope they can make a couple of plays and win the big moments and win some shootouts. But winning the big moments is going to be hard without Fred Warner and Nick Bosa.
I mean, you had a difference maker on your front. It was Nick Bosa. He's gone. You had a difference maker on the second level. It was Fred Warner. He's gone.
Your best two players.
I mean, those are your two guys on your front seven that were really difference makers, and you don't have either guy. JD, who gets your game ball? Who are you giving it to?
I gave it on. It's interesting. I gave it on KMBR to Kendrick Bourne. I kind of want to give it to Eddie Pinheiro here. But I mean, just the 15 of 15, and he's hitting them from 50 plus. I'll leave Bourne for somebody else. I'll take Pinheiro because he's just the Niners. He's given them everything that they've wanted and needed in a kicker, and he's making 50-yarders. I mean, I said, hey, can you just make all the 45 and in? He's done that, and he's made some 50s and 54s, and he's done it inside. He's done it outside. Like I think I'll give the nod to Eddie Pinheiro, but that on a night where you lose and you're taking the kicker, that's not maybe the best dome. So I'm going to leave the rest of them for the rest of them positivity for you guys.
Well, I went Eddie, you went Eddie, Kev went.
Believe it or not, Kendrick Bourne and Eddie Pinheiro both have been picked.
Okay. All right. Got it.
All right. That's all right. Let's hit a couple more of these supers before we bolt for the door. And I lost my place here, so let me see if we've gotten a couple of these here. Do we get this one? Sells, surprise face, secondary's trash, bench Brown, Siegel is so trash. Yeah. We got this one from Bobby Bill. No excuse for not building an O-line. Okay, we got that one. I know we got that one. Murray said our O-line got humiliated.
Yeah,
I don't understand why
we're past those.
We got that one.
The next one was this one. We had that one.
Okay.
Yeah, this is
that was it. There was the Nance one. That's where we're at. Nance is an epic punker, and Romo looks like okay. All right. Next one. Thank you, D. Martinez. Wait a second. We got this one. Loco Ant 1624. There's no way this O-line holds up against a good defensive coordinator that will send exotic blitzes come playoff time. This whole right tackle side cannot anchor on pass protection. Yeah, the offensive line is, it needs everything going right. The game, you can't fall behind on the scoreboard. You can't fall behind on the chains. Yeah, you have to have play action available. You have to have a game that's closed. I mean, if they get into a situation where the Niners can throw the ball, but they cannot throw the ball if they have to throw the ball, and like it's late in the game. So they can throw on first down, they can throw early in the game, they can throw when they're close on the scoreboard or ahead, but as soon as they fall behind, it's like all of a sudden it's just way
on this the super chats and in the regular chat, and we've talked about it, the theme today seems to be pretty hard on the offensive line. It would be kind of hilarious to see an NBA type substitution for your offensive line. Just bringing out 4 new guys, leave Trent in there and just substitute. They can't be any worse. They might be fresher. I mean, come on. This O-line is
line
just
change.
Bad. Yeah, line change, hockey change. Give it a line change. Right in the middle of after one of the incomplete passes, here comes 4 new guys or whatever. Because this offensive, I obviously I'm being facetious, making fun of this, but this line is bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is what happens when you don't have foundation pieces. I mean, you have one foundation piece there. It's Trent. And then you had another one in Pooney. Pooney's having a second-year regression. I don't know if it's due to injury or whatnot. I mean, that false start was absolutely criminal today. I mean, that he should be thinking about that for the next 2 days. I mean, that thing was just horrible. Fuji says, off topic, after Tua's comments, is McDaniel gone? I didn't even see what Tua said. What did Did Tua rip McDaniel?
So
Tua
guys are
said
missing
something-
meetings and not showing up on time, and it was not a great look for Tua, one, and not a great look for McDaniel in terms of the ship that he's running.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty safe to say that he's probably gone at the end of the year.
What about John Harbaugh?
He's probably gone shortly as well, but he's won Super Bowl, so he probably gets a little bit more rope. Niner fan says Tatum will be a good middle linebacker. They will be in the dance. They need an edge. It's time to win for the organization and not the individual players make the move. I hear you. I mean, it really comes down to if they can keep winning games. If they're in the playoffs, they got a shot. And I think they've got to exercise it as much as possible. Tomorrow is not guaranteed to anybody in life, and it really isn't in the NFL. So I would, if I'm in it, I would try to maximize being in it. But that being said, I can't trade next year's number one because I gotta have that pick for the offensive line. Humdinger says giving Brock $53 million a year, then not building the O-line around him is like buying a Lamborghini and leaving a garage door open with the key in the ignition. Why, Larry? Why? No, I totally agree with you on this one. It's like if you're going to spend that much on a quarterback, and it's like build him a fortress. I understand they want to have a really good D-line, but man, I mean, how many picks are you going to invest in your D-line at the expense of your offensive line before you're going to pay for it? And I think they're there now. I think they've invested. They love D-line, and if you have that, we can never have enough D-linemen. And you miss on Solomon Thomas, and you miss on Javon Kinlaw, and you miss on Drake Jackson, you miss on some of these guys, and all of a sudden you got to keep drafting because you never can have enough. And that's kind of where they're at. We got this one from, let's see, there we go. This one from Casey. He said they've never prioritized the O-line in the Shanahan-Lynch era. To expect that it's going to change now is wishful thinking. James Foster, Brian Robinson is better than Garendo on special teams. Nice adjustment by Boyer. Eddie is legit. Eddie De Niro. Yeah, Garendo, it's like, what would you say you do here? I think it might be time to ship Garendo. DeBig says, DeBig25 became a YouTube member. Welcome aboard, DeBig. Damn Mab says, Fire Forster plus O-line. Niners going to break by week 10. Okay. Couple more here. D. Martinez, we've all worked with a guy like Forster. He's really good at convincing the people above him. He's really good. O-line is a consistent issue. D. Martinez, we got that one. Got this one. Harry Johnson, Brendel and Pooney giving me Quam Harris flashbacks. Oh my God. That's bad. We got this one.
Isn't that the guy from Stanford, Kwame Harris?
Yeah, Quam. Mike 824 says, don't need stats to see Brendel is bad. It's on live TV in 4K every Sunday in front of everyone to see. Dude's a shit for brains turnstile. Might be a little harsh, but it's at least
people are pretty mad after a loss. The super chats have a little extra.
There's a little sauce. They're a little sauce.
A little sauce on them.
A little spicy. Joseph Ernberg, sick of Trent's hissy fits and fighting grown man. Yeah, you got to keep it together. I kind of felt like
Trent has a history of when things aren't going his way.
Yes.
He adds a little extra.
Yeah,
a little extra aggressiveness.
It's like a little of that goes a long way. It's kind of like Bumgarner trying to police the baseball diamond. I liked it a little bit, but then when he started yelling at Puig a little bit too much, I felt like saying, "Hey, Bumgarner, shut the fuck up." I enjoyed Game 7 in 2014, and shut the fuck up. Dwight likes men.
I don't know if you say that to Bumgarner to his face. That guy's pretty scary.
Yeah, but I mean, whatever. I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, at the end of the day, you're not a cop. You're a pitcher. All right. You're not the policeman of baseball. Stop. You can only celebrate as much as Mad Bum, thinks is appropriate. I mean, come on. I mean, that he was feeling himself a little bit too much. It's like Klay Thompson when he hits a bunch of threes and then he shoots one from the parking lot. It's a little bit of a heat check. I kind of felt like Madison was doing a little heat check as well. Dwight likes men says D-line, 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 or dine. I think he probably meant D-line. Humdinger, not for nothing, but Fred going down mentally got to our defense, including Robert. They are still kids. Let's take it out on Atlanta now. Okay. Got that one. Couple last ones before we get out. Vincent Talley. Can someone debate Rich Madrid on O-line because he constantly insists the Niners prioritize O-line and have drafted enough O-line? It's an angry man there. I'm not gonna debate him. I'll let somebody else debate him. I'm too happy to debate Rich. We got this one from Fuji. Larry, SI, O-line, D-line kept jumping off sides. 54-0. They lost to Reardon. Oh, my God. Go Cats, get them Cats, go get them Cats. That's all I can say. Mike says, deport Brendel. Oh, man. I think I'm not sure if Brendel is, I think Brendel's probably a native. Titus Moeller, are there a lot of politics involved in what questions reporters can ask at the Niner pressers? Are people blackballed if they were to ask certain things? Well, no. I mean, heck, there was people asking Mac about what color suits he has and how many suits he has. And, things get off of the football tip and onto other things all the time. But, yeah, if you ask if you ask a question that's super aggressive, yeah, you'll get noticed for sure.
Like that. Yeah.
Like, why did you guys draft Jake Moody and Cam Latu in the third round instead of going after offensive linemen?
Yeah,
that kind of question?
You're not. If you ask that question, I don't know. I feel free to ask the questions I want to ask. But I also know that if I ask a super smart-ass question, that I'm probably going to get somebody in the PR staff going, hey, that's kind of a smart-ass question. Terrence Sullivan, middle exposed after Warner injury. Let's stop playing Florida teams. Yeah, that's true. Lost up 2 with Florida teams. Fujisimi and LOL Larry, the 49er player who stepped on Eddie Piñeiro's foot, can fly back on Spirit or in a prop plane like in the movie Major League. I was just on the other day. And JD, any word as to who that Niner was that stepped on Piñeiro?
I am not sure. I did not. I thought it was. I didn't go back and check it, and it wasn't a topic that came up when I was in the locker room.
Dude, okay, so about a buddy, 15 foot though.
Yeah, I was going to say my buddy used to work at Shoe Fair, and he texted me and said those were 14.5s. I've cross compared that to the Niners roster, and it's one of 7 guys, and I will list those. No, I'm just joking. But could you imagine if you did all that work? Titus Moeller, Larry, what's your eval on our rookie D lineman? D line is, I think they're good prospects, but they're, D line is about technique, and so it takes a while, and that's why when they drafted so many of these D linemen up front, I'm like, well, it's going to be up to Chris to see if he can coach them up. So it's very challenging. It's just like it's very much about technique, and that's why older guys seemingly do well.
Krueger,
I think they're good prospects. Go ahead, JD.
Quick, I got a text that says a source says it was Austin Pleasance.
Austin Pleasance. Okay. There you go. That's a big man who's not contributing a whole lot, but if he took out Eddie, that would have been a huge one right there. Big Bob says Shanahan is responsible for his stance on the O-line. He needs to be accountable for that. No more genius talk. Okay. Wow. People loved him last week. It's amazing what a week does. Mike says Brendel needs to be kidnapped by ICE. All right. Seems a little personal. But SRT, a huge issue with the 49ers roster building philosophy. They pencil in starters before the draft and training camp. They never allow true competition. If Brendel's the starting before we see what Hennessy and Nugent have. Yeah, there is a little bit of that kind of like, hey, this is what our plan is. But I think they allow for competition. I think we saw that in a few spots this summer. I think it was a legitimate competition at linebacker, and I think D. Winters just kind of took it. So I hear what you're saying, but I think within that context, there are examples of the the opposite of where they're just kind of saying, "Here's the job, go fight it out." Niner fan says Buckner was traded, but guess he didn't go to Cabo. I don't know. I don't know if they were going to Cabo back then. Beats and meats. The Warner injury was my fault, guys. I slept late. Then when I turned on the TV, the very first play I saw was Warner's break. It's my fault. I'm sorry. Oh man. Well, beats and meats. We're not going to accept that apology. We're just not. Joyce says our line needs to eat a pig and a pickle. We're too small and slow to block anybody. LOL.
That's comment of the day.
There you go. Joyce, I love it. I love it. Angel Moreno says losing Fred was the biggest loss of the season, but I'm optimistic. I feel like the Niners are making a big trade coming Monday. They get players back on Sunday. Well, I don't know. I would say that my guess is a trade would not be coming for a couple weeks, but we'll see. JD, what do you think?
Yeah, I feel like they're less inclined to make a trade than more
of the way
inclined.
they lost. Yeah,
just because of Fred and because of I think that the front office was still struggling with the notion even before the injury of whether or not this team is playing well enough to kind of go all in. And I think if you felt that the 49ers team needed to prove over the next 3 or 4 weeks that they're worthy of making an addition to get to that point, then now you feel even less about this team's ability. They'd have to show you more over the next 3 or 4 weeks.
It's more about the loss of Fred than it is about the loss of the Bucs. As far as
totally,
will they be less apt to make a trade? I think they may be less apt to make a trade because they've lost their blue chippers.
If you think you can what do you guys think of this? If you think you can get to 10 wins as is, like can this team go 6-5 in the final 11 games without Fred? Yes, right? They can. If you think you can get to 6-5 without Fred, why would you? But you can't be good enough to win a Super Bowl or get to the Super Bowl, then why would you look to add? Because 10 as is would be a successful season, right?
I agree, but here I would look at it this way: there's two trades in the NFL make no sense, right? They make no sense. Sometimes you have to trade a ton. Deshaun Watson, Herschel Walker. Some of those trades are just like ridiculous trades that are change your whole franchise because you trade so much or you trade for so much draft capital. And then there's all the other trades that cost nothing. And it's weird. It's like you have two kinds of trades that cost you tons and trades that cost you nothing. And so if I were the Niners, I just would not be in the category of trades that cost tons. I'm not doing the trades that cost tons, but I am doing the trades that cost nothing. So if I can move from the 6th round to the 7th round and get a player that can help me, then I'll do it. If I can move a 6th round pick straight up and get a player that can help me, I'll do it. They got Brian Robinson for that. They've made some very, very, very ridiculously low cost trades, and then they've made trades that have cost more. So I think what JD's talking about now with the injury to Fred, the injury to Bosa, I don't think I'm in the mood to want to move my day 1 or day 2 picks. But I also don't want to do nothing, and I want to send the locker room a message that says, "Hey, look, I want to help out." And they get so many comp picks with all the different reasons that you can get comp picks these days. And so I would definitely be active, but I would be looking to make the something for nothing trades. Try to make 1 or 2 something for nothing trades and add a couple pieces. But trading your 1, no. Trading your 2, no. I don't even think I would trade a 3 at this point. I would try to make those low cost or no cost kind of trades. And I think they're out there. So I mean that's the other good side of it.
Hey, for the block, the Hollywood squares, I'm going to go for the skins to block the top squares there. There we go. Now we make it a trifecta.
Oh, look at that.
Across. Look at that. Look at that.
Look at that.
Take my glasses off. We are good now.
Now, if we could really screw things up, we just
you know what's fun? You know what's funny, Danny?
Now we're all screwed up.
Hey, Danny, you joke about it, but like Females love guys with bald heads, man. You know that, right?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
You know, you're doing pretty well. You're doing okay.
Oh, yeah. My wife loves it. Yeah.
JD's the voice of the Bay. You know, I'm sure he's doing
Yeah.
okay.
Listen,
I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
Danny's getting his lumpia in
You know?
on the side. Okay, he's getting his lumpia.
I'm gonna hang out with Rye myself. I'm just gonna chill. I'm gonna just chill with Rye, and you know, I'll do okay with Rye. I'm chill.
Couple more before we get out of here. Niner fans has just sent Fred a bottle of deer antler spray. Okay, thank you. Ray Lewis says he approves. Titus Muller says, Larry, would you consider asking Kyle about Jordan Watkins to get an update to gauge Kyle's excitement level for him and to convey your excitement for him? I will. I think Kyle really likes Jordan Watkins. I really like Jordan Watkins. He just has to get healthy, and when he does, he's going to be a nice player. Bake That Dough says, how about a bulky analysis of all these injuries? You know, it comes down to the fact that when you're injured, as they say, you can't make the club in the tub. All right, you just can't do it. All right, there's my Trent Baalke. We got a couple more. Terrence Sullivan. They hit Baker early and he suffered. Didn't touch him again after the midway through the second quarter. That cost them. I agree. They got a couple of hits early. Angel Murillo. He says, what free agent would be the best pickup for Fred? Free agent? I don't know. I don't think you have to pick up a free agent. You have Nick Martin. You have Tatum Bethune. There's probably a couple, I'd have to look at the free agent list of linebackers. I don't think I'd go that route. There might be I'll tell you who I would go for right now. The Ravens have a guy on their practice squad named Chandler Martin, who's a really good linebacker, undersized, kind of like Nick Martin. He's got a lot of talent. He flies around. He makes plays. He's on their practice squad. I'd pluck him off their practice squad. He's a little undersized, as I said, but I think he's a lot like Nick Martin. He can run. He can hit. I think he'd be really nice. That's the guy I'd go for. Murillo with this one. My boy Fred is Mexican. He will put some vapor rub on his ankle. He will drink some 7-Up and come back during playoff time 100% better than ever. Just a little 7-Up will do that, huh? It's amazing. All right, that's it. We got through all. That was 76 supers, by the way. Thank you. All right, final thought on our way out the door. We'll just get one last thought from each of you guys, and then we'll say goodnight. Danny, go ahead.
Yeah, final thought is that the next 3 weeks are going to be critical that they win 2 of 3. And I think if they can do that, they've got a very good shot at still a division title, maybe, have to settle for a wild card. But if they happen to lose the next 3 and fall to 4 and 5, because of these injuries and the O-line not performing, then that's 2 days before the trade deadline. I seriously think you have to consider trying to move some guys for some picks that can next year you can start to, load up on offensive linemen, because it's kind of like the Giants pitching staff. They need to remake the pitching staff. The Niners need to remake their offensive line.
I know, and it's a tough one because it's like, where do you start? And do they have? They're starting what they think are their best 5, but are they really? And I don't know. I don't know if they can. They've defended those 5 guys so consistently that I don't know if they can pivot. It'll be interesting to see. Rye, final thought.
Final thought is just to kind of spin it a little positive. I mean, I had a blast just watching Mac Jones and the boys, the Door Dashers, just going up and down the field early in this game. And it's kind of like I don't know, it's like a little bit of like a bad news Bears situation. It's like everybody's hurt. It's a bunch of young guys. They're probably just going to get better as the season goes along. The offensive weapons are going to be coming back, and this is going to turn into a Niners team that we haven't seen, since the Shanahan came here, which is like, it's going to be kind of a drop back passing game team that's going to have to outscore their opponent. Robert Saleh's got to get deep in his bag, because they can't just keep rolling out that vanilla defense. Everybody knows it. They can't keep rolling out the vanilla Gus Bradley defense with their defensive personnel. So he's got to get creative. I hope he starts imploring the guys to, I don't know, take more chances or something. They got to get some turnovers. And ultimately, I just think, they go 6-5, 7-4. And every year with the Niners that I think, we've all been covering them since Shanahan got there, it's like either they're so injured and obliterated that they're just absolute ass. And it's like, all right, draft pick positioning. Or it's like if they make it to the playoffs, they're going to the NFC Championship game. Expectations are they're going to make it to the Super Bowl, have a shot at it. This year, it's kind of like, you know what? Just like let's have a gritty season. Let's get the young guys improving, sneak into the playoffs. Let's win one game in the playoffs. You know what? That's okay. There's going to be no funeral for the Niners where everyone's all upset if they only win one game in the playoffs. I think that'd be amazing, and still going to be a super fun team to root for.
Kev, final thought before we bolt for the door here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with Ryan this one. I thoroughly enjoyed and have enjoyed watching Mac Jones in this offense with this ragtag group. I think on the optimistic side for the Niners, you are 4-2 despite all the things not going your way. You're getting Pearsall back. You're getting Purdy back. Juwan Jennings, I'm not even sure what's going to happen with Juwan Jennings. It seems like he's kind of in bad standing with the team. Maybe he gets traded for all we know, but you have Kendrick Bourne who's kind of slid into his role. So the offense is getting a little bit better. Kittle's coming back. Maybe things start clicking offensively and you become this offensive team with a young defense that can maybe, make a splash late in July or late in January. I mean, so I think it's trending up right now, and you just got to be happy with where you're at. Obviously, the injuries are killer, but you got to keep rolling on. It's the NFL. You don't play to lose. You don't sell. You play to win. And I think looking forward here, things could be getting better.
Frank, you got a final thought before we get out of here?
Yeah, just similar to the guys. I think this is a fun time for Shanahan. He probably has more pieces now than he's had in the past. I could see a scenario where Juwan Jennings is traded. But I'm interested in seeing how creative they can be with Kittle and Jake Tongas together. We generally don't see two pass-catching tight ends on the 49ers with all the wide receivers. So Robert Saleh can have a top 15 defense, I think, pretty much with anybody by how he schemes. So I want to focus on the offense to see how creative and how fun they can be this season. I'm excited to watch that.
JD, you got a final thought?
Yeah, well said by everyone. I echo a lot of that. I just think it's the fact that this team has an opportunity to still win some games in the regular season. And that's where you're afforded that from being 4-2. If this team was 3-3 even right now, I feel like there'd be a lot more. The whole thing is kind of over, but they're not. They're 4-2. They're perfect in the division, and they really don't. When you look at what Tampa's done and what Jacksonville's done, they really don't have a bad loss. I think it's fair to say. No team's going to play well every week, but I think it's get over losing Warner as a team enough to where you have the belief that you can still win a bunch of regular season games and get into the playoffs. And I'll stop one short of Rye. I'll just get in and have a shot, whether it's at home or away, whatever it winds up being. Get in and have a shot. And if you get beat in January in your first playoff game, even because you just don't have enough defensively because you don't have Bosa or Fred Warner, then I don't think anybody's going to complain about it. It sucks because it's another year that you don't win it, but I don't think anybody in the grand scheme of things would be complaining about that, while also understanding that this team's going to have another draft and another opportunity to retool, especially if the younger players are getting better along the way. So yeah, I think the offense, to everyone's point, is where it really should be focused, because they've got two capable quarterbacks in the Shanahan system, and they've got some guys coming back. And I think they are going to have to go about it very differently than they have in some of these other years, but I think they're capable of doing that. And so I think it is a unique challenge to where, to find that in-between ground and make a 10-7, 11-6, final record in a playoff spot, make that a successful year that can be a bridge to something greater in 2026. That would be a win. My final thought is that
the 49ers are one of a number of contenders in the NFC. Are they better than those teams? No. But are they worse than those teams? I don't think so. I think they're just among those teams, right? And I think everybody's got a shot. I would discount, based on losing Fred Warner today, I would take the idea of trading for, trading a day 2 pick, a second round pick, a third round pick. And I'm taking that off the table. Because I'm not trading a second or third round pick. I'm just not. I'm not. But I am going to try to improve this team in the area that I think can help them make a difference and maybe make the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is still at Levi's, so I don't want to give up the season, but I also want to make the kind of deal that I think will help the team. So what am I looking for? I think I'm calling Tennessee, and I want Kevin Zeitler, and I want Tajay Spears, and I'm willing to move Garendo. I'd like to have another back and another offensive lineman, and let's see if you can run the ball. Let's start running the ball with a better line and maybe a faster back. Maybe another back, so you can have 3 backs out there that you can believe in. I really think that a lot of what ails the 49ers would be cured if they could just have more success running the ball. So would I like to add a defensive lineman? Yeah, I would. And I'd look around for it. But what I really want to add is I want to get Colby back to the bench. I want to add a veteran offensive lineman that's cheap, and another runner who I think's got some speed. And then I want to see the 49ers run the ball, because I think if they could get a better line and run the ball a little bit better, I think they can win games in the playoffs. I really do. And if Brock Purdy can get healthy, I think Mac Jones and Purdy can process. Their receivers are going to get better. They're going to get some players back, but their offensive line is not going to get better just by itself. And Zeitler is the kind of brawler, tough guy that I think, he's 35 years old or whatever at this point. He's old, so he's not going to cost you a lot. And he's on a bad team. But if you could get Kevin Zeitler and Tajay Spears, maybe you start running the ball a little bit better. If you start running the ball a little bit better, maybe you're a little bit more connected, a little bit more in some of these games. So I would start there. I know everybody wants to start with the finishing act, which is get Trey Hendrickson, get a pass rusher. A pass rusher is what you have when you already have the lead, when you already have when you're just trying to finish games. But the Niners aren't there. They're not in we just need to be able to finish games off. No. You have to establish run and establish offensive balance and get guys from taking hits to your quarterbacks by running the ball. So I would start there. Veteran offensive lineman that I really like, plug him in for Colby. See if you can find another runner. See if you can start running the ball a little bit better. If you can add a nominal piece on the D line, but like a young piece, I would do it. But no more shortcuts. No more, going for the best player. No, go for a younger player that's going to be here, has some upside. But that's what I would do. Go for an offensive lineman that can make you better. Go for another runner that can potentially help you run it. And let's see what this team looks like down the stretch if they could start running the football. I think it would make all the difference in the world. So that's my thought. I don't know if it's the solution, but that's what I would do.
Larry, I was going to say this is for all the fans that get, upset when the team doesn't win. It really is. It takes a really good, talented team to win any championship, but it also comes with a lot of luck and fortune with injuries, because you look at teams when they lose their best players, it's almost impossible to win. We saw it with the Warriors last year when Curry went out in the playoffs. It's like they were done. And now you lose Bosa and Fred. I mean, is there a shot? Sure, because other teams could get key injuries too. There's still a lot of football to be played. So other teams might lose that are as good as the Niners. They might have some key injuries. So you keep playing and you hope things work out. But it's tough to win when you have to have health on your side.
That's going to do it for us. Thanks to all you guys. Frank's got the In the Dungeon show. Frank, you're going tonight, right? In a couple hours?
Yeah, 9 o'clock. Check me out in the Dungeon show, and got a big show planned up. So you got time, tune in.
Awesome. JD, when do you appear next on the Leader?
I'll be in tomorrow, 10 to 2, with Greg Silver, in for Greg Papa as he continues to get well, and a big happy birthday to Greg on Friday as well. But he's going to be out tomorrow, back on Tuesday. So, nothing there in terms of an extended absence or anything like that. But I'll be joining my guy Greg Silver in for Papa tomorrow.
Awesome. I'll be joining you guys for a segment as well. Kev, have a great night. Anything you want to promote before we get out of here, Kev?
No, same as usual. Follow the Krueger Show on all social media platforms and audio, wherever you get your audio podcast.
Danny, promote NorCal Sports Network.
Yeah, we'll be on in about an hour after the Toronto Blue Jays and the Mariners game. Right now, it's the bottom of the 7th. Seattle's taking a 2-1 lead, and
how great was that game the other night?
Oh, that 15-inning game was incredible.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we'll be on about 8:15. We'll do some live coverage of that game, and we'll probably talk a little bit about Sunday Night Football, the Chiefs and the Lions game.
Rye, awesome to see you, bro. Anything you want to tell the audience? Fire away.
Nothing to plug except for no, really nothing. Turning 30 tomorrow. That's pretty fucked up.
Whoa,
Jesus!
That's pretty much my only.
Man, goodbye to your 20s. Oh,
Rod, really quickly. Did you see the Patrick Thomas Anderson movie with Leonardo?
Oh, it was unbelievable. I saw it. I was up at an engagement party in San Francisco, so I went and I hit the Metreon, the 70 millimeter IMAX. Unreal.
That's what I saw. That was awesome.
Yeah. So
what's it called again?
What was it? Just Another Battle? Was it called, right?
One battle after another.
Yeah.
I
We
also
should review
saw
that. It was
good.
incredible.
Yeah.
Every performance in that movie was brilliant. It was instant classic. Check it out, Larry.
Good to hear. I like going to the movies. I have to, it's tough to drag my wife. She always falls asleep, and then she doesn't want to go. Anyway, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to all of these guys. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to our sponsors. The links are in the description for all of our sponsors. Have a great night. Keep the faith, Niner fans. It was a bad loss, but tomorrow's a new day, and we'll be there to talk more Niners then. See ya.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful.